I'm going to call this meeting, the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, to order. Thank everybody for joining us today. Today is Wednesday, June 3rd, and it's a little after 9. Commission Secretary will please call the roll.
Commissioner Erdman.
Here.
Commissioner Boatwright.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Hageman.
Here.
Commissioner Slay.
Here.
Commissioner Baker. Here. All present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We have quorum present. Welcome, everyone. As we move forward today, I have a friendly reminder for all that we are live streaming this meeting today for the public to view from their home or office. If you are speaking, please make sure you speak into the microphone and the microphone is on so that viewers online can hear what's being said. For those viewers who are watching online, we encourage you to subscribe to MoDOT's YouTube channel at MoDOT Video for access to this meeting and more. We're going to start our meeting this morning with a brief safety emphasis. Colby Carey, Senior Safety Specialist and Emergency Management, is going to share with us what we need to do today in case of an emergency. Colby?
Good morning, Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, and Director Hassinger, and everyone else. My name is Colby Carey. I'm a Senior Safety Specialist at MoDOT here in Southwest Missouri District. I would like to welcome you all to Springfield, and I just have a few safety reminders this morning. In the event of a fire, our primary evacuation routes are out the north doors and the south doors here and out the building. There's an alternative exit through the north doors and to the west onto the patio. In case of a small fire, there are fire extinguishers located on either side of this wall, out the south door and in the lobby outside the banquet hall. I've asked Greg Chapman to retrieve and use the fire extinguisher if needed. In the event of severe weather or an unlikely tornado, everyone should exit the large room here and go to the interior corridors at the back of house. We can accomplish it by moving orderly through the south doors, and please look and listen for staff to guide you. If we must evacuate this room, please take a moment to look who you're seated next to and ensure they arrive safely. We can congregate in the north lawn and the parking lot. For your information, Mercy Hospital ER is only 1.2 miles directly east of this facility. If there is a medical emergency, Kim Hickey will call 911 and direct emergency responders to our location at 600 West Sunshine. Cindy Dunaway has volunteered to administer CPR, and others may assist her if necessary. There is an AED and first aid kit in the back sign-up table where we came in, and Jennifer Williams will retrieve the AED in the event of a medical emergency. I hope for a safe day. Thank you.
Thank you, Colby. Next, I'd like to recognize some special guests. Of course, everyone in the room is special today, but we just concluded a coffee breakfast morning discussion with your local Springfield delegation to the Missouri Legislature, and we're just very pleased and honored to have about an hour of time with them. But in addition to that, I want to recognize here in the room today State Representative Jim Calberlo and State Representative Bill Owen. Thank you for coming both. Also representing U.S. Senator Schmidt, we have Tucker Joe, and representing Congressman Burleson, we have Jared Taylor. Thank you all for coming, and we appreciate your participation today. Next, I'd like to review a few procedural items. We have a packed room today, so I just want to remind everybody that we do have a public comment period, and we are pleased to offer this to every Missourian who wants to come before the commission to address an issue of concern. Anyone who would like to address the commission, please do sign up and register before 9:30. Reminder, you will have 5 minutes per person for public comment, and we're limited to 10 minutes per topic. Should we go over the 10-minute per topic, since I know there are a lot in the room, I would like to encourage people not to repeat the same argument that may have been made by someone before you, just so that we can stay on schedule. And I would appreciate your cooperation with that. Next, I want to cover our abstention process. There are commissioners who, because of land ownership or business interest, or they may be a lawyer who represent clients who may have some relationship on a matter coming before the commission, or they may have an actual or perceived conflict of interest to be voted on. Such commissioner will indicate if he or she chooses to abstain from voting or to recuse him or herself completely from participating in the discussion. If an agenda item is divisible by contract, call, project, or the like, a commissioner may specify that particular matter and then still vote on the remainder of the agenda item. This information is provided in advance to the commission secretary by letter. The commission secretary will duly indicate any abstentions or recusals accordingly in the minutes. Madam Secretary, have the letters been received?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Next, we'll move to our first action item, which is consideration of the minutes for the regular meeting on May 6th of 2026 and a special meeting on May 5th of 2026. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, do we have a motion and a second for approval?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion and minutes are approved as presented. Next is a consideration of items on the consent agenda. The next business item relates to things that we would consider under that agenda. Does anyone call for removal of any item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Did you get that? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, is there, are all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Next is a series of non-action items to receive committee and board reports. Commissioners Boatwright, Slay, and Baker serve on the audit committee, and today Commissioner Slay will give the report.
There is no report for this month. The next audit committee meeting will be held on June 9th, 2026.
Thank you, Commissioner Slay. All commissioners are members of the legislative committee, and the commission's chair and vice chair serve as co-chairs of the legislative committee. We've just completed the session of the General Assembly, and Commissioner Boatwright will give today's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, good morning. Today's report provides a wrap-up of the 2026 legislative session to this fall's elections and update on the federal reauthorization. It's a bit longer than usual, so hang with me on this thing. So on the state side, the legislative session concluded with substantial activity. More than 1,000 bills were filed in the Senate, over 2,000 bills in the House, and MoDOT processed more than 1,000 fiscal note requests during the session. Of all the bills filed, 100 were passed, including the budget. The Commission's legislative priorities centered on the supplemental budget. House Bill 2014 passed in March and included the Commission's full request of $643 million to complete fiscal year 2026. Through the regular appropriations process, House Bill 2004 passed on May the 6th, provided key funding for fiscal year 27, including $2.17 billion worth of appropriations for the construction program, $585 million worth of appropriations for the maintenance program, 75 additional FTEs for maintenance forces, and $20 million of general revenue funds for the continued investment into our low-volume roads throughout the state. On the policy front, one of the Commission's priority safety proposals, ignition interlock devices, passed this year. House Bill 1740, sponsored by Rep. Dave Griffith, increases penalties for DWI offenses and established an all-offender ignition interlock requirement for drivers with a blood alcohol content above 0.15. Two other impactful bills. Senate Bill 1408 authorizes the Commission to increase speed limits on rural interstates from 70 to 75 miles an hour. Speed is already a Missouri's leading contributing factor to fatal crashes, and many of our roads were not engineered for the higher speeds. The department will need to carefully evaluate the rural interstate corridors before making any adjustments on this item. Senate Bill 916 Changes contractor liability for tort claims by establishing before, during, and after phases of construction for projects. Contractors will no longer be liable before or after construction, and the bill removes MoDOT's ability to require contractors to indemnify during construction. Another item that it does is it makes the contractors agents of MoDOT, which is interesting because this could really open up a issue with the open records for private contractors. I'm not sure there's a lot of thought put into that particular item, but something that we need to work through and try to figure out how that's going to be impactful. Ultimately, 916 increases litigation exposure for the commission and ultimately reduces the amount of road work that can be delivered from Missouri taxpayers. The governor has until the end of June to sign or issue line item vetoes on the budget proposals. For all other bills, he has until July 15th to sign or veto them. All bills, unless otherwise specified, will take effect on August the 28th. Election season is approaching with the primary on August the 4th and the general election on November the 3rd. Voters will select the state auditor, all 163 members of the House of Representatives, and 17 members of the Senate. Additionally, the governor has placed 4 constitutional amendments on the August primary ballot. On the federal side, the current federal surface transportation authorization expires on September the 30th, 2026. The House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee marked up the reauthorization proposals, Build America 250, which is Building Unrivaled Infrastructure and Long-Term Development for America 250, on May the 21st. The bill passed the committee by a vote of 62-2 after a 14-hour hearing, during which more than 65 amendments were rejected, 17 amendments were adopted, and several others were withdrawn with assurances of future consideration. Build America 250 proposes $580 billion in transportation funding. Missouri will see a modest increase compared to IIJA, which is a positive given the earlier concerns about potential reductions. Key highlights: increased formula funding and reduced reliance on discretionary grants, a new $9.2 billion per year bridge formula program, project delivery and environmental streamlining provisions, which that piece is a big deal. Changes affecting MPOs and local governments, including codifying Safe Streets for All, SS4A, allowing for 2-year obligation window for planning funds, a process for MPOs to qualify as direct recipients of planning funds, expanded uses for planning funds, new freight and multimodal provisions, including a discretionary truck parking grant program that is important to Missouri. For those who don't know, truck parking is a major issue throughout our big corridors. Anybody that travels the roadways at night, the number of trucks that are parked on the shoulders and the ramps is pretty eye-popping, and it does have long-term impacts on our infrastructure, having those dead loads on the road. The process is still in the early stages on the Build America 250. The House bill must receive floor consideration. The Senate has not yet released a proposal. With the election season underway, progress may slow down as the year continues. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report, and I'll pass it back to you.
Well, thank you, and a good report it is. Let me take this moment to once again thank members of the Missouri General Assembly, some of whom are joining us today, for the tremendous support they've provided the Highway Department and the Commission in recent years. Much of what we're going to talk about today would not have been possible without that support, and we really are grateful. I'm also informed that we are joined now by State Representative Jamie Gregg, State Representative Kathy Jo Loy, and State Senator Curtis Trent. Thank you all three for joining us. Okay, Commissioner Smith serves as president of the MTFC. Myself and Commissioner Baker are also board members, and today Commissioner Smith will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no report this month. The next meeting will be August 6th of 2026. Thank you.
Very good, and thank you. Commissioners Boatwright, Hegeman, and I serve on the Emperor's Board. Today, Commissioner Hegeman will provide that report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there is no report for this month. The next board meeting is scheduled for June 25th, 2026.
Thank you, Commissioner Hegeman. Look forward to that. Commissioner Boatright will give today's Missouri Coalition for Roadway Safety Executive Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As reported last month, the margins and safety gains for 2026 have begun to shrink, and unfortunately, that trend continued through the month of May. The Memorial Day weekend itself included 8 traffic fatalities, twice as many as the holiday weekend from 2025. This puts Missouri in excess of 300 road deaths for the year and just a mere percentage point ahead of last year's pace. The state will need to make considerable gains this summer if we're to experience 4 years in a row of decline in fatalities. The Coalition Executive Committee met this past Monday to discuss these trends, public outreach campaigns, legislative outcomes, and other opportunities to increase awareness during the remainder of 2026. The coalition will continue to pursue improvements through a combination of education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency response. Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Dustin. Next is a non-action item. We'll receive the report of Director Hassinger. Ed?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I have a few things to share with you this morning. Later in great detail, we're going to talk about what's going on I-44 here in Springfield, but I wanted to share with you another I-70 milestone. It kind of feels like at this point we're making that update a regular thing and it's really a testament to how much is really getting done. Last month, we were joined by Governor Mike Kehoe, Congressman Mark Alford, a lot of local leaders for our 5th Improve I-70 groundbreaking ceremony. The event celebrated the start of construction on our Roachport to Columbia design build project. And I just wanted to share a few highlights from that ceremony. So we have a brief video here from that groundbreaking.
We're not just breaking ground, though. We're laying the foundation for the future of Missouri. The Improve I-70 program is one of the most significant infrastructure investments our state has seen in decades, expanding nearly 200 miles of I-70 to 3 lanes in each direction. It's going to transform how people, goods, and businesses move across our state. And right here between Roachport and Columbia, this $441 million investment will modernize a critical 14-mile stretch of highway that so many Missourians rely on each and every single day.
As a commissioner, I've had the opportunity to see firsthand the tremendous amount of work that goes in to planning and delivering these projects. It requires coordination among thousands of people across the state, across numerous agencies, and across numerous organizations, and we're so thankful for the folks that do this. I'm continuously impressed by the work happening within this historic effort. Through this design build process that we went through on 4 phases of this I-70 program, we are delivering tremendous value to Missourians.
Missouri's history of investing in infrastructure, understanding what it does for the safety of our communities, understanding what it does for economic development is clear and is well documented, and we're grateful for that. You can always have a great contractor community, you have a great commission, but then there's actually somebody who has to kind of make sure the work gets done. And I'm really proud of Team MoDOT. Ed Hassinger and his team have done a great job of leading the department and delivering these projects on time, under budget, and with great quality and a sense of pride for the state of Missouri.
The communities all across Boone County will grow as a result of this project. This is not just about, now it's not just about safety. Safety is a critical component of that, but it's an economic development that is going to occur as a result long-term, is going to impact my son's generation, his children's generations. This is truly going to change and continue to grow Boone County and put us on the map. It's a $1 billion investment in Boone County, this entire project.
So this project represents planning, collaboration, but more so persistence. So it's a reminder that infrastructure projects like this only happen when communities, institutions, and agencies come together towards a shared vision. So for Columbia, I-70 is more than a highway. It's an economic corridor. It's the connection between families and business. And it's one of the first impressions that people have of our community. So improvements to this corridor matter not only for freight and regional mobility, but for safety, access, and the quality of life that people here live every day.
The University of Missouri, we talk a lot about momentum, Mizzou momentum. But this occasion reminds me that momentum is not limited just to our university. It is momentum in our entire state of Missouri right now, and this project is a powerful example of that shared progress. More than a highway improvement, as has already been said, this is an investment in the people, in the communities, and in the institutions that move Missouri forward.
I gotta say, this is something I never thought would happen. We talked about it around the halls of our office for over 20 years. We never thought I-70 would get rebuilt in any of our lifetime. And here we are today with it in the background, and we're ready to bring this job to life. This will be something the entire United States is watching. And we can't wait to bring this job to life and have success on all the projects so we can maintain this momentum and demonstrate to Missourians why you invest in infrastructure.
So it was great to bring all the pieces of the puzzle together in Columbia to talk about that and highlight the contracting team that's going to do it. I just point out that Missouri was the first state in the country to put an interstate project under contract on August 14th, 1956. So on August 14th this year, I-70 will be 70 years old. So we're going to celebrate that because now we're rebuilding. We did it first in the country 70 years ago. We're also doing the rebuild of I-70 first in the country in the way that we're doing it. So it's pretty amazing. We have 5 projects under contract. If you count our downtown Kansas City project, there's 6. And this year, as we prepare to host literally thousands of visitors to the state for the World Cup and for other events, I can't say enough how important it is for people to stay vigilant behind the wheel with all of this construction going on and looking out for those people in our contracting industry and in the MoDOT team that are out there trying to get this stuff done. So if people could watch out for those folks, that would be greatly appreciated so we can continue to make progress on all the projects across the state. And some other good news, if the commission remembers, a few years ago, we brought to you an innovative program to rebuild rural bridges called the Farm Bridge Program. And it was recognized by the American Institute of Steel Construction as the top honor as a national winner in the short span category for the 2026 Bridge Awards. So we're thrilled that that project was awarded that. That program delivered 31 short span rural bridges across 15 counties in under 2 years. And the program's hallmark was the innovative use of galvanized structural steel for bridges that are going to last 100 years. So ultimately, this program has provided our rural communities with safer, wider lanes, better connectivity, and we're thrilled that this was recognized on the national level. Next, I wanted to kind of give you an update. The commission, when we award projects, we do something we call a fuel and asphalt index. And I know this slide is pretty busy, but this shows over the history what that index has done. And you can see spikes and dips. But if you look at the right side of this graph, you see the big spike that was COVID years. And that means the price of the materials that we use spiked. So the oil that goes in asphalt, the diesel fuel that our contractors use to power their equipment, we pay an index on that. We award the project, a project we awarded a year ago. If the price goes up when they actually expend it this year, we pay an added amount for the index. That gives the industry some certainty that they're not going to get stuck with, runaway inflation. Well, what I wanted to really bring to your attention is with the current state of what's going on in the world, we are starting to see another increase in those indexes, which is going to have an impact on what we are spending on those projects that we've awarded. So if you go to the next one, this shows back in the pandemic years, that added about $26 million to our current contracts. You can see an asphalt, and then the fuel index added another 13. We're headed for those times again. Our hope is that this will not be long-term and that there will be some things that will change that, but we need to just be prepared for that. And then the other thing that does is it also gives you an indication on where prices are headed for current bids that we are going to take in the coming months. So not only is it backward looking to increase the cost of current contracts, it also probably has some indication on what we're going to be faced when we look forward. So just as something we're really keeping an eye on, something that we're working hard to make sure that we can account for as we go forward. This is just kind of a word of caution and something that we are really looking at very carefully and how it's going to impact the price of the business that we do. So I wanted to share that with you. And then the Vice Chairman mentioned the federal reauthorization update. We are thrilled that the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee released the draft. It is $580 billion is the top line number, which is good. We were worried that it would be a reduction. So at least the starting point is a bigger number. And of course, it's got a long way to go, but we're really happy that it's mostly formula driven, and that is good for Missouri. Discretionary programs really don't play very well for us. And so we owe a debt of gratitude to Congressman Graves and his leadership. He has done a masterful job of bringing a bipartisan bill as a starting point for transportation. So we're really thrilled with the beginning of that. Here, what I want to do is a couple of things and recognize some of our folks. Brittany Mitchell is in the room. A couple months ago, I shared with you a recap of our annual team conference, which brings together all the transportation partners around the state to share what they're doing and share best practices. This is a nonprofit organization that puts this on every year, but their board appoints an executive director. And the executive director is responsible for pulling one of these conferences off. And she's done this for the last 2 years, where we've had record attendance, waiting lists that are literally hundreds of people. And this is not Brittany's day job. She's one of our traffic operations engineers and has a full-time job, and she's taken this on and done a fabulous job. So I wanted to recognize Brittany with one of our leadership and action coins. So Brittany, where are you? Could you come up here?
Congratulations, Brittany.
That's just an example of the extraordinary people that we have in this organization that take on added responsibility and do a great job with that. Next, I want to turn the podium over to Eric Schrader to make an announcement of a new member of the MoDOT senior management team.
Good morning. Thank you, Director, Chairman. So I'm very pleased this morning to announce our new district engineer in St. Louis. As you remember, last month we got to congratulate Tom Blair on a well-deserved retirement after 33 years of service in Missouri. And we've gone through an extensive process to find his successor. And I'm proud to announce today I have with me Tom Beavers. There he is. That's like, where to go. Whitmerman. Tom's been with us in St. Louis for his career and has had a number of leadership roles, including an area engineer, resident engineer overseeing construction projects. Most currently, he's been our assistant district engineer overseeing program delivery side of the house. So we're very pleased to have Tom doing this. Tom's a proud father of four, so he has no spare time. One of what he's doing depends on what season it is. I think it's baseball season now, isn't it? All right. So very pleased to introduce today Tom Evers as our new district engineer in St. Louis.
Tom will be a great addition to our senior management team. And then on the other flip side of the coin, we're also here to recognize Lester Woods. Lester is on the other end of his career and actually is officially already retired. He retired 4 days ago. And so he really doesn't work for us anymore. But you know, Lester has been an integral part of this organization as a senior management team member, and most recently as a member of the MoDOT executive team as our chief administrative officer. I've known Lester for 25 years, I think. Lester and I met under pretty tough situation where some of our minority contractors shut down the highway in St. Louis and were demanding that we make some revisions to how we do business. Lester and I were both, I say, young in our early stages of leadership and were told to figure it out. And you can imagine in a heightened emotional situation where people were really kind of at fever pitch. I will just tell you that I appreciated Lester's calm demeanor and how he carried himself. And together we worked on some fairly innovative strategies that later became recognized nationally as a model of how to do that. And that has continued throughout his career with MoDOT. And as we've taken on significant things, his role as chief administrative officer, that cool, calm demeanor has served us well. And so, you know, it's kind of one of those bittersweet. We're thrilled that you're able to retire. We're sad to see you go. But we look forward to what your next chapter is. So Lester, if you could come up, and I think the commission would like to get a picture with you. And then I understand you're taking your dad back to Louisiana. So you're on your way south.
Right after this. I can't say it for the rest of the week.
Let's grab a picture.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Okay, well, thank you, Ed. Lester, again, congratulations. Have a safe drive down to Louisiana. We'll miss your testimony during public testimony this afternoon. All right. Okay, are there any questions or comments for the director?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to, just thank Lester publicly and for his professionalism, for his talent, and just working with Lester has just been wonderful. He is a consummate professional. He's got a great personality, and he gets the job done. He's somebody who you could rely on, and always was very, very important in major decisions that we were making, and was a big help to all of us. So certainly was an outstanding public servant, and as someone that we going to miss a lot here at MoDOT. So thank you, Lester, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Commissioner Slate. Other comments? All right, the next item on the agenda is a public presentation from the Springfield delegation. Every year after the session adjourns, the commission goes on the road and holds remote meetings like the one we're holding today. This is the first of the year where we're having our meeting outside of Jefferson City. And we're very pleased to hear directly from constituents, citizens around the state. Today, this presentation from the Springfield delegation will be introduced by Stacy Reese, Southwest District Engineer. Stacy.
Good morning, Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, Director. I'm pleased to introduce our partners from the Springfield area. We've got Sarah Fields, the Executive Director of the Business Transportation Organization, Matt Martin, the Springfield Area Chamber of Commerce, and then David Cameron, City Manager of the City of Springfield.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director. Thank you so much for hosting us today, for allowing us to be with you. And thank you also, as we always never want to take for granted, your intentionality in going on location around the state to do this. I think it's really important, and your effort in that regard has led to, I think, better decisions over the years, and so I very much appreciate that. We're thrilled to welcome you here to Springfield, and we're especially excited about news that I know we will all eagerly anticipate a little bit later this morning on I-44. But just while we're talking about that for just a moment, I do want to take a moment to just thank you for the investments and the commitment to this part of the state, and specifically to I-44. The improvements in our community that come as a result of those investments are absolutely really game-changing. The widening and pavement rebuild supports local jobs. It also improves the corridor for decades to come, provides additional capacity to make that road safer for emergency personnel to clear crashes and hopefully less crashes as a result. But all of those things are a direct result of just really doing the hard work to get to this point. So thank you for that. I'm going to give a big thank you to the Missouri legislature. I know the legislators here have played key roles in getting that done as well. And we're incredibly grateful to the governor, both of the prior governor and the current one, for being in that capacity. As a region, we're working to build the best possible future for everyone who lives here in a whole lot of ways, and transportation is absolutely central to our efforts to do that, and to our growth and success as a region. We just recently kicked off the Route 66 Centennial, which is a great celebration for the whole country and for this part of the country in particular, and we'll continue to celebrate the past. Those exciting markers from the past, but we're very focused on the future. And we're looking at what we need to, in order to usher in a future that ensures our region's success. We're very, very pleased to have great partners in MoDOT and the Missouri Highway and Transportation Commission, and we're so grateful for that longstanding partnership. I want to share a couple of highlights from our region if we can. I think I do have the remote here, don't I? Have the control of that. Okay, so our region hit a big marker from a population perspective earlier this year, where we crossed over 500,000 people in the metro, in the Springfield metro. As you see from the chart, Springfield, our 5-county metropolitan statistical area, remains the fastest growing metro in the state of Missouri, and we continue to see that significant growth reflected not only in population numbers, but also in job creation. This data lags a little bit further behind the population growth information, so we're still waiting for updated. But as you can see, we continue to see those jobs be created here at a robust pace, fastest pace in the state. We believe that investment in job creation is not only valuable in and of itself because it creates prosperity and opportunity for everybody who lives here, but it also provides a leading indicator as you plan for future infrastructure investments. So as you invest in ways that help create and sustain jobs, you also know where you will next need to invest in order to help sustain that population growth that naturally follows. So we're very focused in our region on growing industry, and we have identified several key sites to continue that growth. And I think it sometimes can be helpful for you to see where we anticipate some of the most significant growth, and specifically industrial and job creation growth in the region to be taking place in the years ahead. We're very excited about some of the investment that's already happening in some of these areas, and as we continue to plan for the future, pleased to work with the Department of Economic Development and the United States Department of Economic Development as well to complete the LeCompton and Eastgate improvements near Springfield Underground, and to work with MoDOT on projects like the MM relocation and widening project, which is absolutely critical to our region, and to partner on studies looking at the Division interchange and the 6065 corridor projects for the future as well. Each of these projects and each of these studies that are looking ahead to the future are moving transportation investment in support of job growth in identified areas that are being developed. And again, that investment in job growth is one, a driver of prosperity and opportunity for everyone who lives here, and two, a leading indicator of where future investment priorities should be made. And so we feel like that investing in infrastructure that supports economic development helps all of us to prepare and plan for how best to maximize future infrastructure investment as well. So next up, I want to point out just a little bit about where some of that growth is affecting our transportation infrastructure network. Some of that growth, of course, brings with it needs and challenges, and the largest traffic growth is along the periphery due to significant suburban population increases in our region. In fact, for the first time, just a couple of years ago, starting in 2022, we have seen traffic volume on US 65 south of Highway 60 become the highest volume road in our region. That's the first time that has happened, and we're just incredibly glad and grateful for the widening project on Highway 65 that's just wrapped up all the way through the city of Ozark to help accommodate that growth. It's, again, forward-looking vision, I think, on the part of the commission and MoDOT and partners here locally and throughout the region to help that happen. MoDOT has invested in supporting the growth of the region over the years. Good planning that has resulted in transportation investments that lead to job creation, traffic capacity, all of that, with several projects, including the widening of US Highway 60 and James River Freeway, as well as some of the planned work on US 60 and Republic. Some new roundabouts near the airport have really had a significant impact on our ability to move people in and out of the region as well. We're setting new records in air travel in and out of Springfield also. And the planned interchange improvements at Kearney and 65 are just a few of the projects that we're really excited to partner with you on as a region. Of course, everything we do here in the region, all of our best stories, as you know from being one of these key partners, are really stories of partnership. Our best stories are collaborative. I like to say that in this part of the state, in our region, we're big enough that we can do almost anything, but we're small enough that we need each other to do it well. And so we rely heavily on partnership to get things done. The city of Springfield and Greene County have been investing in traffic flow as well as a result of that, and really to help emphasize that partnership with the Kansas Expressway extension, Grant Avenue Parkway project, and the planned widening of South Campbell with a federal Safe Streets for All grant. Those are just a few of those projects that are happening as well. Of course, another really important project that has had a lot of energy and attention and a lot of work on behalf of the MoDOT team in particular is East Sunshine in Springfield. You'll hear a little bit more about that from our city manager, David Cameron, but I just want to, before I give up the microphone, I want to take a moment just to thank the commission and to thank the director and to thank Stacy and the team here with MoDOT for doing what we asked them to do a couple of years ago, which is say, I know you've done everything that's required in order to be prepared to do this project, but we'd like you to go back and ask more questions, really engage those stakeholders along that corridor, take the extra time to measure twice, cut once, and get this right. And And I'm grateful for the care and the time and the effort that's been taken with that. Recognize that there are a number of perspectives about what kinds of investments would be best or not, or better or worse than others along that corridor. And I respect, as I know you do, all of those perspectives. You'll hear from some of them, I'm sure, later today as well. But what I want you to know is that having a safe corridor on East Sunshine and being able to do the investments necessary to keep it safe and build capacity so that more traffic can be on that passageway is good for business. And we want to see that happen as well. So I'm honored to introduce one of those key partners right now and a great leader in our community, in our region, and that's our city manager, the city of Springfield, David Cameron. He's going to have the next part of this program.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning, Commissioners, Director Hassinger. It's great to see you all again. Lester left too fast, but I also want to commend him for his retirement. But for those that have worked with him, he's a great resource, a big loss, but I know he's already working and busy again. But it's great to have you all. I also want to thank and recognize the Route 66, the number of commissioners that were here. We got to spend some time together and drive around and see the collaboration at work and see the work that we're doing collectively together. But one of those was with the I-44 visit with Steve Prangy and his team and the MoDOT team, and seeing real boots on the ground and seeing what the investment into our region and into our state is doing for us. And so I want to thank you for that, being here and being attentive with the Federal Highway Administration, talking to us. And I think that's really important for us to be seen and to let our voices be heard as a state that we mean business and we're open for business. And so thank you for that. Last year, I had the opportunity to stand before this commission and talk about corridor improvements. It is listed in the city of Springfield as one of our top 10 priorities in our comprehensive plan. And I was talking about the opportunity for us to partner and collaborate on what those look like moving forward. And so I want to talk about the Sunshine Corridor as a whole. Most travelers do not understand that that is joint owned. And so when they cross over from Highway D to down Sunshine, back all the way into Republic, those are different owners of those properties or those extensions of road. And so today I want to talk about just the overall route, or that Sunshine in general, is that on the letter that I stated to the commission on May 14th as the support from the city of Springfield to proceed, and as Matt stated, based upon the feedback that the MoDOT received in the listening sessions over 3 years in that capacity, to stand behind the support of that letter, that we as a city are supporting the work as it's been amended to proceed with that, and understanding that there's been a lot of dialogue and challenges to that, and I understand there's both sides to that. But when you're considering the number of fatalities, I think it's 7, the total number of serious crashes in the last 3 years while evaluating this has doubled. This is a material opportunity and situation that, from a public safety and transportation, that we have to take very seriously. And as just as a person, as a father that has children that live in Springfield, now a grandfather, it's very difficult to see the data and not make decisions and say, this is something we need to support and move forward with. So I thank you for your consideration to do that project as well, and look forward to working with you in that capacity. But also the city is also invested in a corridor study of our own for our own portion on that section that says city owned. So if you look at the map that's there, the gold area that we've highlighted on that list is we've actually done listening sessions that have been well received. As you'll see in the drawings, there's public engagement, but there's a lot of support, and you can see this is just kind of a charrette that they ran through, talking to the community, asking for feedback and support. And the medians in this capacity were overwhelmingly supportive with these different streetscapes and things of that nature. And so the scope of that work actually includes, because this is very interesting data, as we were looking at East Sunshine, a total number of deaths and fatalities, but also they're averaging 130 accidents a year just in that corridor. We've also got the evaluation of our own city-owned portion of that, where just in the last 4 years, we've had four fatalities and over 1,000 accidents just in that one section alone. So this is not one isolated end of a street. This is something that's going to go all the way through, even into the city of Republic and on, because it's a congested corridor, 34,000 vehicles a day. And so we're not just evaluating one. And I want to thank you for the collaboration and the partnership, that because we joint own these, that we have to work together. And it's very important, being one of our top priorities as a city, even in public safety and transportation, that we continue down that path. And so as we continue to look at these opportunities, we have applied for a builds grant. It's interesting how it changed from bills to raise to builds. So this year it's builds. So we're going to build in 2026. But we have applied for a $25 million grant with a $10 million local. But also there's those opportunities working with Stacy, Ed, and all of those that are working on the MoDOT side, that we can do something collectively together, even if we disagree on what that looks like, keeping public interest and safety in mind, but also how we're going to grow our economy at the same time is very valuable. And so I thank you for your time and the opportunity to present to you again. And now what I will do is I'll turn it over for the most important part, is what all we're doing in the region, to Sarah Fields, our OTO director, who I will state publicly I think is the best at what she does in the state. So thank you.
Well, good morning, Commission, Director Hassinger, and thank you, David and Matt. I don't know if you know everybody in the state, but I'll take the compliment. It's fine. So obviously, we're not only interested in what happens on the state-owned system, but the local system as well. And as David just said, it's not easy to distinguish ownership for the general traveling public. So as we are interested in safety, we took a look at the system, and they're very similar conditions in terms of total crashes, in terms of fatality crashes, in terms of severe injury. So we realize if we want to reach a Vision Zero goal, we have to address not only the conditions on the state system, but on the local system as well. So back in 2022, OTO was awarded a safety grant to establish a regional safety action plan where we would identify improvements that could be implemented. As part of that plan, we looked at characteristics where crashes occurred, where these fatalities are occurring, and overwhelmingly, it's the arterials, it's the 5-lane sections, it's where we have multimodal activity, and we identified roads on the state system as well as on the local system that needed improvement. We are glad to say that all of the state-owned systems are getting all the state-owned roadways are getting some sort of improvement to address safety. We prioritized them through our process back. A lot of these were prioritized pre-COVID because they were the high crash corridors, and we've been seeing at least MoDOT invest in a phase 1 action along these corridors, making some access modifications, making pedestrian improvements, right? Because we continue to see those crashes with pedestrians and bicycles. So we're very happy to see that action taken. As we stated, Grant Avenue, when many of you came to town, you saw the improvements on that corridor. South Campbell, we got a safety action grant or an implementation grant of $13 million for the city of Springfield to make improvements for safety that include access and pedestrian improvements. And then, as you just heard, we have a build grant out on Sunshine Street. So we're very excited with the Build America 250 Act because it allows us to continue to apply for those safety funds through the Safe Streets for All, with that eligibility being maintained. We hope to every one of those streets on the list continue to apply to make those needed safety improvements. The bridge funds, we're super excited about that aspect as well as Commissioner Boatwright mentioned some of the additions for metropolitan planning that include direct funding to us, which we asked for, as well as a 90% match. So we're excited to do that. In addition, the STBG suballocation, there's a provision that separates the obligation limitation. So I hope we won't be, our ability or inability as MPOs in the state to obligate, I hope will be separate in the final bill from the state's obligation limitation, so we can solve some of those issues. But we're very optimistic moving forward that some of those provisions will be maintained. So I wanted to talk about our priorities for the state system. As you heard, we're continuing to see that suburban growth. We continue to prioritize safety among everything else. And so we just kind of listed what our top 8 or so, 10 priorities are. A lot of those have to do with intersections. We continue to see a lot of crashes along intersections, but we also continue to have crashes resulting on just too many cars on the roadways as we grow. And so, we continue to focus on that and ways to partner to build the improvements that we need as we grow. One of those needs is at the 60-65 interchange, US 65, and the corridor of US 60. We are currently underway on a study which just kicked off in May, where we had some stakeholder meetings and a public listening session back on May 28th. And we had 200 plus attendees, where we had a survey, we had a presentation explaining the process, as you see here. And that survey is on our website and it's open until June 11th. So we don't have any results yet. The timeline is that we're hoping to have a preliminary analysis back for public feedback in the fall. Of course, I say that lightly because we're looking at environmental concerns, and you just never know, what could come up as you're doing this study. But our goal is to have the entire study wrapped up in the spring with federal highway approval and MoDOT approval. And I'd just like to encourage you to follow along at our website, 6065study.com, where we will be providing updates as we go along. I also wanted to highlight our successful project delivery. We have obligated 98% of all federal funds made available to the region. That's over $154 million, and we only have a balance of about $2 million. I will happily say that about a third of those funds have gone to MoDOT partnership projects. So we are very pleased and always welcome the partnership opportunities. As you know, some of our biggest problems are on the MoDOT system, and sometimes we're happy to partner 50-50 through a cost share, but sometimes we just bring a little bit of extra money for aesthetics or to add some pedestrian improvements. And the department is always very willing to step in and partner on those projects. So we're very excited about continuing that. And just to wrap up, we hope we can leave you with a couple of thoughts today. One is thank you for investing in our community and our growth. We recognize that there's a lot of work that goes into it, both at Jefferson City, but at our local level too. And we appreciate all the staff that helps us on a daily basis working together. And second, we are ready, and we're continue to be ready to build what's next, to deliver those projects and through partnerships and work together. So thank you, and we are available for questions.
Okay, well, thank you, Sarah. And we'll ask maybe Matt, David, if you would be available for some questions now. Before I'm going to recognize Commissioner Baker, since she's from here, Springfield, if you have any opening comments during Q&A.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I'll just say thanks to each of you, Matt, David, Sarah, for being here and for giving this great presentation. I'm always amazed by the metrics that they support kind of what we think. But this is the envy of the state of Missouri. Great things going on everywhere, but the job growth, the population growth, and the projected job growth in the future is incredible. And those metrics are because of work done in collaboration and partnership engagement that was done many years ago, a few years ago, and now. But I love your what's next, because that's what everybody's working on now. And infrastructure is a huge part of that. All the work that affects our quality of life and our economic development opportunities, it's all connected, it's all linked together. But looking forward, and it takes a while to do that. It certainly takes a while to build a roadway. And so that planning, that collaboration we're doing now for what is ahead is critically important. And we have wonderful partners here that have presented in teams that they represent that really make a difference of how to do this seamlessly and in a positive fashion. So thanks, congratulations on all the success. Very proud of our area and how we do it. And we don't always agree on everything. Imagine that. But that's what's healthy, and that's what communication and collaboration is all about. If we did our work in silos, it would be entirely ineffective. So we'll disagree, we'll have some friction, but hopefully on the other side, we come out and we go forward and we keep doing it every day. So thanks. I'm sure the others have comments and questions as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. We're going to open up for questions from members of the commission. So I might open up, Sarah, with you if you want to come forward. As I understand it, the OTO, which is the Ozarks Transportation Organization, it is a metropolitan planning organization, and its purpose is to study and address regional mobility and transportation issues. And you have a very inclusive process for determining your recommendations. Could you briefly describe how that process works and what you do to bring public and elected official input into your recommendations?
Absolutely. We have our process open to the public at any time. We actually purchased a website, giveusyourinput.org, so that anybody, anytime can put in a project request, a recommendation, tell us where there's an issue. And so from that, we actually add anything that is recommended to us to a list. It's over 150 projects long. And I mean, I don't care if it's an elected official or somebody on the website, we put it on there and we score it. We score based, it's a little bit weighted, so different things have different points, but safety has the largest amount of points. We also look at congestion today and congestion in the future. We run a travel demand model that estimates that future demand because we don't want to recommend widening something where growth is not happening, right? So, we take that all into account. We look at bridge condition. We look at the amount of trucks on the road and the impacts to our freight. We have a few points for economic development and then some regional distribution. So in summary, that's most of it.
Who are some of the elected officials that are involved, or that are actually on your board and involved? I understand there's a lot of local elected officials involved in your program.
Sure. So our board is made up of 7 cities and 2 counties. Every city and or county can choose who they send. The county commission of Christian and Greene County both send commissioners. Sometimes it's city managers, sometimes it's members of council, but it's really a mix of staff and elected officials.
So it's definitely a inclusive process when you bring a recommendation. Now, MPOs statewide and OTO here in Springfield bring forward recommendations to MoDOT, and then we, at their suggestion, bring those things and put them into the STIP. I believe the East Sunshine recommendation that came from your organization and the city came almost 3 years ago. Is that your recollection?
Oh, it predates that. I was thinking this morning, I think it was about 2019. Actually, I had 3 people in the same week come up and say, what is going on the traffic on East Sunshine? And I looked at our list, like, well, it's not even on the list. So let's put it on there and score it. And what do you know? I mean, it was one of the highest crash corridors in the city, and they were right. So
Get along, I said, you need to go to Springfield and see how they do it there. Because you really can't tell who works with the county or the city or the chamber. Their collaboration is how they've been able to get so much done. And I think, growing parts of our state have a different set of challenges than those that are not growing. It brings in, I don't just have to take care of the existing network. I've got to make changes that keep up. And that's a nice problem to have. It's a much better problem to have when you're dealing with a growing community than when you're not. And so, but it does bring a lot of new challenges. And I think when David said Sarah is the best MPO director, when I'm in Springfield, of course she is. But she does a great job, and she's engaged with our bigger planning process in a really engaged way. We don't always agree on everything, but we work on it. And Sarah has been a great leader in the planning process and a great partner for us. So the whole group in Springfield is really a model, and that shouldn't be overlooked.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and we will take public testimony for those who signed in after this part of our meeting concludes, and hope those who wish to testify will hang around for that. Hosting us here in Springfield. Last night we had a wonderful time at the Mothers. Always enjoy going there. What a great evening, Matt. Thank you to you and your sponsors for that. And I got to tell you, everywhere we go in the state, everybody envies Springfield. Springfield's the fastest growing community in our state, thank goodness. And we're really, really proud to be here today and recognize that success. Just keep it coming. The next item on our agenda is an action item. Excuse me, Sarah Kleinschmidt, State Design Engineer, will present bids for our consideration. Sarah?
Good morning, Chairman Erdman, Commissioners, and Director Hassinger. For the May 15th, 2026 bid opening, MoDOT received 126 bids on 43 calls. We recommend the following to you today. To award all calls to the lowest responsive bidder except for call C04 in the Kansas City District. We recommend rejection of call C04 per section 102.15C of the Missouri Standard Specifications for Highway Construction. This is due to part of the project is no longer required. These are our recommendations to you today.
Thank you, and I will share with the group that we do go over these in pretty heavy detail yesterday, but we've discussed them, and with that, I'm going to see if anybody has any questions or comments they want to make on the proposed bids. Ed, do you have any comments?
He stepped out.
He stepped out of the room. Well, I'm going to assume he has no comments then. Okay. We have discussed previously and now are presented with a list of recommendations for bid acceptances. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do we have a quorum? We do. It's been moved and seconded. Let's call the roll. Yes.
Commissioner Baker? Aye. Commissioner Boatright?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith? Aye. Commissioner Hagerman?
Aye.
And Commissioner Slutky?
Aye.
Okay, well, another round of spending. Go forth and spend, right? Do you have a budget update?
Yes, I do. Today's awards are for a total of $94.9 million, which is $5.1 million over budget. This is based on all projects, including contingencies. Today's awards result in a state fiscal year 2026 award total to date of $1.7 billion, which is a savings of 7.9% or $146.4 million. This is under budget on $1.85 billion worth of work. This is also based on all contingencies, and this also includes emergency, special lettings, projects led by others, and design build projects led this fiscal year.
I'm going to step in to spare Sarah's voice a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
As this is also our fiscal year-end wrap-up, generally, we would provide a little context to the savings and how the year ends. So, Sarah, I've got all Sarah's information, so I'll be Sarah's voice here to save her a little bit. But I want to put some context to the savings. So this being the last of the fiscal year, this is 438 projects. So as we've talked about, and the director gave you some update on some big projects, we're going to talk about more big projects yet today. Really, these are projects everywhere. So I looked on the website this morning. There's 1,042 work zones in Missouri today between our contractors, our staff, work happening everywhere. 438 projects. So that's, we do 12 lettings monthly lettings. This is putting money to work quickly. So I want to explain a little bit of the savings. So part of that, out of that 146 million, we anticipate savings. We program more work than we actually got funding for. So we programmed over about $60 million, anticipating that some projects would have savings. Because we want to put that money to work as quick as we can. So we anticipated that savings and over-programmed. Part of this savings, $41 million of this, is in money that's designated for I-70. Now, we still have projects to go on I-70, so that 41 million will remain on the I-70 fund as we do all those projects. So that really isn't available to be used other places. And then out of that remaining, then we have about $35 million in savings. Now, those savings get reprogrammed in the district. Now, Director also gave you an update on the oil and fuel index. So what appears as savings today is just on part of a project. This is just on the contractor award. So most of these projects will be a year or two from now when they actually close out and we close the books on them. And at that time, we may have to pay for some of those increased oil costs in there. So $35 million will be reprogrammed into the STIP. And it also goes back to the region where the savings was. as we've just been talking with OTO and their importance in this, this is how we make sure we honor and respect the funding distribution, that areas where the project generates the savings, that's where that money keeps on going. So that we want to make sure that we're not playing some shell game, shall we say, and that those savings go back to the areas and keep that commitment to the funding distribution. So I wanted to give you a little context to the savings. It's great to say that $1.7 billion worth of work in the state of Missouri. As the director warned everybody, that also turns into work out there on the roads. We need everybody to pay attention and work with us. But this is also an economic driver. As you've just heard from the chamber and others, these road projects, just taking care of the system, we know is key to driving the economy in Missouri. So we're very proud to talk about how we wrapped up the fiscal year today. And with that, I'll take any questions.
So just make sure I've got this understanding. We're getting very good competition, and as a result, projects are coming in competitively, and we're making some savings against the budget. And I believe you just said that those savings get redeployed to the district where they came from.
Absolutely.
And the only caveat would be, I mean, that's great news. I couldn't be happier about that. The only fly in the ointment could be that these increased petroleum-based costs could catch up with it, and thus we need to be careful how we use those savings.
Right. And
Is that it in a nutshell?
That's it in a nutshell, and that's why we kind of delay 1 year in reprogramming those monies to make sure of that.
Well, we ought to be very grateful to the contracting community and the competition we're getting, because it is producing incredible value for Missouri taxpayers. So let me open it up to others for questions, comments. Ed, anything you want to add?
Well, I don't know that I ever dreamed that we would have a year-end total of 1.7 billion and over 400 projects. That 5 years ago, we would have said that was impossible. And here we are, end of the year, awarded projects, and we're still on track for the same award, completed on time and on budget. We're still doing that, and we'll continue to do that going forward. And I think that's what Deliver the Program is all about. So we're doing it.
Okay, keep them coming.
Thank you, Chair.
Our next agenda item is a non-action item. We are here in Southwest Missouri today, so District Engineer Stacy Reese will provide an update on the district. Stacy?
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Director again. Welcome to Southwest. So just to tell you a little bit about our Southwest District, we do cover 21 counties. We serve over 1 million people. That doesn't count all the tourists that come through our area as well. We have almost 15,000 lane miles of highway and 1,850 bridges. We currently have 217 projects in our STIP worth over $1 billion programmed. We do have 6 total planning partners in the area. You heard from Sarah Fields earlier with OTO, but we have 5 others that we work closely with through our planning partner prioritization process. So some of the focus areas are Deliver the Program. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of our current active projects. So Chestnut Expressway here in Springfield, we recently have been working on upgrading the sidewalk and ADA facilities. Also gave it kind of a little birthday present because part of it is Route 66, so it got some new resurfacing as well. That project's wrapping up this summer. The Route 60, Route A interchange project's going on in Webster County. That's eliminating an at-grade crossing, and we're putting in an interchange there at Route A. We've also connected an outer road, and I kind of like to joke here, it goes from Route A to Route Z, so not too many people have a road that connects A to Z. The Route 60 down in Newton County, we've got 2 roundabouts going in there, several turn lane improvements as well. The Route MM realignment in Republic along Greene County. This is one of the corridors you've heard a lot about today as well. That's a $40 million project. It is eliminating 4 at-grade railroad crossings, installing a new overpass over one of them and connecting in. That one started work earlier this year and has until about 2028 to complete. So you'll get to see more of it as it progresses along. And then Route 66, which is also known as 7th Street down in Joplin, Jasper County there. Again, it's getting a little bit of a birthday present too. We're completely rebuilding the pavement, a lot of ADA improvements, signalized intersection improvements as well. That one just kicked off this spring as well, and it has until 2028 to complete. Our casing or bridge bundle, which is one of our other current design build projects going on. It's a $38 million project for 20 bridges. We have 4 of those bridges complete already. More under contract or under construction, 6 under construction, with 10 more starting between now and the end of the year. Forward 44, the phase 1. So if anybody has been through Springfield, I'm sure that they have encountered this. It is work going on between Kansas Expressway, which is Route 13, and Route 65. It is adding a lane in each direction, in addition to improving and replacing 6 bridges actually along that corridor. On the east side, so between Winston and 65, the westbound traffic is actually already driving on the brand new pavement there that has been replaced. A lot of the bridge work is going on there at National and Broadway right now. This one does have a little over $13 million in general revenue money that went towards replacing the pavement on this project. They have until 2027 to finish this one up. So as I go around and visit with everybody, again, a lot of great work going on. We know that it's challenging with the construction zone, but hang on with us because it is going to be fabulous when it's all said and done. We also focus on restoring our operations and safety. So just some highlights here of what our maintenance staff has been up to. This is a shout out to our crew in Anderson down in McDonald County on Route K. We had a entrance down there that you can see in that upper left picture, had several large 60-inch CMP culverts for their driveway. They were actually propped up with a metal bar. So one of the items that we looked at doing is a contact structure. There's a lot of debris that washes down into this, down to the river. And so our crews installed this contact structure to open that up and replace those deteriorating culverts there. So just one of the tools in our toolbox that we utilize. Also been out busy laying, new hot mix asphalt, doing brush cutting, seal coating, ditch clean out. We've already started our mowing cycle, so you'll see a lot of our mowers out and about along our routes as we're going ahead, cutting that grass down because we have had a lot of rain, so it has definitely been growing a lot. April was a big, trash bash, pick up litter. So in addition to our maintenance crews that are out there picking up litter all the time, we picked up 40 bags of trash along the James River Freeway here in Springfield. In just 2 hours, they picked up those 40 bags of trash. So continuing on restoring our operations and looking at safety, litter has been one of our big priorities. Just year to date, so from January to end of May, we've picked up over 58,000 bags of litter in the 21 counties that we take care of. So 870,000 pounds, so at a cost of a little over 1.5 million to do that. We've also focused on replacing a lot of our signs. So far, year to date, we replaced over 9,500 signs at a cost of a little over $1 million. And then, the customers, they don't hesitate to call in and let us know when they're seeing issues. And we appreciate that because it takes all of us. It takes all the eyes to see what's going on out there. So last year we had over 7,000 call reports we responded to. So far this year, we're a little over 2,400. We continue to see a lot of permit requests come through our district. Year to date, we're at 543. You calculate that out, we're going to be on track with seeing exactly what we saw in 2025 with probably a little over 1,300. Development reviews, we're continuing to see development come. Last year we had over 76 developments we reviewed. Some of those are still going on. A lot of developments, are larger, and so it can take multiple years to work through those. And then so far this year we've had 18. Working safely by the numbers, looking at fatalities. Our ultimate goal is to have 0 fatalities on our roadways. Unfortunately, in the Southwest District, we have seen a little bit of an increase, about 5.5% increase there compared to this time last year. So again, just take this opportunity to continue people to slow down, obey the speed limit, put your phones down, don't drive distracted, and buckle up. But we did have some success in 4 of our counties so far. They have had 0 fatalities this year. So Cedar, Henry, St. Clair, and Vernon are topping that list there of 0 fatalities. And then we went a 10-day stretch in April there without a fatality crash on our roadways in our district. Back during spring meetings, we took the opportunity to honor 20 of our work units that went all of 2025 with 0 backing incidents, 0 slip, trips, and falls, and 0 sprains and strains. So we called that our Trifecta Safety Star Award and recognized those units. We continue to do our public involvement. We have more public meetings than I think we ever have. There's always, it seems like one almost every week. Definitely a lot getting out and hearing from the public. We also been participating in a lot of other public events. Had already been mentioned, but the Route 66 Centennial, Springfield was honored to host that. So we had the federal administrator, McMaster, and Governor Kehoe down. We were able to do a media event, and then we also took a tour of some projects in the area, and then also participated in the parade during all those weekend festivities. One of the big events in the Springfield area as well is the Build My Future. This brings in students from 25 counties across the area here. It's our opportunity to share our message and share what MoDOT does to over 2,000 students. So always a great event. We've been a partner with it for many, many years. The Innovations Challenge recently, we had 3 teams win, one in each of the categories up there. So great showing by Southwest District. Our teams are always looking for innovations, and it never amazes me. I'll be talking to somebody and they'll say something. I'm like, well, you should submit that for innovations. And they think some of those things are just so small that, it's just them doing their jobs every day. We currently have 16 interns that have joined us for the summer. Some of them had already been working with us through the school semester as well. But 16 of them now have joined us from across multiple colleges there and already getting busy on learning about what MoDOT does, and we put them right to work. We want to make sure that their summer has a valuable experience. In Southwest, we also have what's called the Rhodes Award, which is recognizing outstanding assistance and dedicated service, and this is a peer-to-peer recognition, so just some of our recipients there from 2025. And then we always say we're family at MoDOT, and literally it means family in this slide. We have so many moms, dads, brothers, brothers and sisters. I think we're the only, I don't know, maybe we're the only district, but we have a mother, dad, and son that all work for us. So, so great to look at that and see. But I just wanted to kind of end here as we wrap up. I always tell so many people, and especially our new hires when they come in, everybody takes roads and bridges for granted. But what you guys are going to do working for MoDOT, every part you play in maintaining and supporting our system, it's much appreciated. We need it. And we thank you for being here and doing that, as you're joining our team and our family at Southwest. So with that, thank you.
Okay, Stacy, thank you. Let's open with some comment.
No, just a comment, Stacy. Hats off and kudos to you and your team. As you drive around this area, it looks so clean. As you go up 13 North, it looks great. So I just want to thank you for all the work that you guys have done. And, the people that are coming here from all around the country, around the world for this Route 66 deal, what we were down here for 3 weeks ago was huge, so everybody ought to be proud and happy to come to Springfield and see how clean we are here. So I appreciate that, and pass that on to your people because we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. And Emery?
Yes, just a comment. Thanks for your great report, Stacy. It's always interesting. And it reminds me of the importance of perspective. We all bring different perspectives. When you say you've replaced almost 10,000 signs this year, that sounds like a lot of signs. But as we drive by, we look at those signs and we imagine their size. Until you've been close to one and stood by one, you probably have no idea how large they truly are. And 10,000 of those is a lot. And the other component of perspective is speed. You reminded us of not driving distracted, not speeding. Be our best when we're behind the wheel. But if you have the opportunity, even on a city street, to be walking, we kind of like our cars in Springfield, but if you find yourself walking, you'll notice the speed. And if you have the opportunity to experience that on an interstate highway and stand and experience the speed, I think it will maybe adjust your perspective for the people who work in those zones and the people who are out there. They go much faster than you may think. So thanks for reminding us of both of those pieces of perspective. Appreciate it.
Speaking of signs, I'm guessing Commissioner Hageman would like recognition.
Well, I appreciate Commissioner Baker bringing it up, but I was going to say something about signs. I really applaud you for getting those signs changed out. I will have to say, I noticed there's some opportunity for additional change outs out there. So, just some of our green wayfinding signs have really deteriorated throughout the state. And so I'm very pleased that the department has taken that seriously in replacing numerous signs in all the regions. I've seen them replaced in the Kansas City Northwest region, just throughout the state. So I laud you, I applaud you for getting those signs replaced, and we still got an opportunity.
And we will continue the effort there.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Well, let me echo the congratulations on the operational side of the house. That my colleagues know I like to talk about that a lot too. I'm so pleased that MoDOT is able to address not only the projects, but now how we operate the system. It couldn't make me happier to see your report on all the operating improvements. Still things to do, but the fact that we're focused on the way the customer sees our road, sees our product, I think that's important. And I want to thank you and the other district engineers for doing that. A couple questions I want to ask regarding the East Sunshine project. As you know, when this was originally proposed, we took a pause, and you and your team were asked to go out and recontact and have conversations with those affected parties. Could you briefly describe what took place during that time?
So when we had initially, kicked the project off, we had already been doing outreach to a lot of the businesses during that time. But after, talking with the city and other partners, we did pause for a moment. We went back and we actually re-looked at everything. We went back and hired also a consultant to do an economic analysis impact study. They held meetings for the businesses to come and share concerns. And so we did really work closely with the businesses and hear, what concerns that they had. And we made modifications based on that.
Yeah. Would you describe the modifications as significant as compared to the original proposal?
There was definitely, depending on, we maybe had some driveways proposed to remove, and some of those are not being removed now. We made some adjustments to where the medians were located and proposed, or like on the east side, we did put in like a break to make lefts in, but still, restricted the lefts out. But we also looked at putting in some U-turn areas as well, so you could make those U-turns around the medians.
And what was this re-review that took place, I believe almost 2 years, this re-review, was that done in collaboration with both the city and with the Ozarks Transportation Organization, OTO?
Yeah, we all worked together on what that was, and everybody was always invited to, our core team meetings and public meetings that we had to.
So there's been a lot of input on this, and it produced a significantly different plan that's now in the STIP.
Correct.
Okay. Appreciate your comments on that. Ed, do you have any comments here as we close this segment out?
Yeah, I think it's just important to note, we depend on our districts to be the retail face of MoDOT. They're the ones that deliver all of our services, our projects, and it's important that our area engineers and our folks are in the communities that we serve. And the model of having regional districts that do that is one of the secrets to the success and the partnerships we have with local communities. But I'm going to tell you that leadership matters. And Stacy has done a fabulous job of leading the Southwest District, and it shows in what she's been able to get accomplished and the team that she's assembled to do it. So thank you.
You're welcome, and I can't do it without my team.
Thank you, Stacy. Give our thanks to your entire team down here. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an action item. You might describe this as the big event. Eric Schrader, and Deputy Director and Chief Engineer, is going to present this action item for our consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm very proud this morning to introduce the team that's been working on the I-44 project. Set a little context to this. So this is one of those, as we were talking at coffee this morning, the legislature was able to provide funding. MoDOT then real quick turns around and works on the environmental study, getting environmental clearances for I-44, and then taking this additional money and putting together a design build project to address these areas as quickly as we can. And this is the fruition of that, of when money becomes available, this is the executing part of it. So today I'm proud to introduce almost misnamed you there, sorry. Our 4014 Director, Bachman, to give you a quick summary. As we did yesterday, we went through in detail the 4 proposals. So today we're here to present the best value proposal and a recommendation to you for award.
Chairman Urban, Commissioners, Director Hassinger. My name is Christy Bachman, and I'm pleased to share with you today the final recommendation for the 444 Southwest I-44 Improvements Design Build Project. As Eric said, we did receive General Assembly funding to complete a purpose and needs study. The study was completed in 2025 and evaluated over 250 miles of the Interstate 44, beginning at the Oklahoma state line. The elements that were identified in this study are shown on this slide, and many of them are reflected in our project limits, including congestion, crashes, deficient interchanges, and aging infrastructure. So we took the elements from that study to help us develop the project goals for our design build project. And these are in prioritized order, beginning with delivering the project within the program budget, making improvements that reduce crashes, making safety and reliability with innovative improvements that reduce crashes and promote economic development. Constructing a durable transportation facility that is compatible with freight movement and future expansion. Minimizing and mitigating the impacts to the traveling public in our work zones and ensuring the highest level of safety for the workers and the public. And we will complete the project on or before November 15th, 2031. The success of this project is measured on how well we meet these project goals. And as you can see, this is different from the Improve I-70 program, where a common goal for that program is to construct 6 lanes across the entire corridor. The funding for this project includes MoDOT STIP funds, cash originally from the general revenue that's in the OA I-44 Improvement Fund and will be transferred to the State Road Fund, and bond proceeds that will be issued later this calendar year. The combination of these funds make up a total project budget of $471 million. This budget consists of the $441 million design build contract, utilities, right-of-way, stipends, and preliminary and construction engineering. The engineering costs are made up of both MoDOT internal cost and our consultant team. With the completion of this project, MoDOT will have prioritized locations in the Southwest District to develop this, to spend this available money for it. We are on this project. We received final proposals and price allocations on May 6th. We've gone through the evaluation process, and we are working diligently to complete the project on or before November 15th, 2031. We shortlisted 4 teams in January, shown on this slide. They include the Ames Millstone Weber joint venture with Jacobs, the Capital CMT team, the ESS team with Bartlett and West and Lockmuller Group, and the Mastech Design Build team with American Structure Point, Olson, and Cost. These teams brought highly qualified individuals, experienced people to develop their proposals. We met with each team 8 times in technical confidential meetings, and each team presented a highly competitive proposal. The evaluation procedure consists of a compliance review and a technical review, and we received 4 compliant proposals. The technical evaluation consisted of a project definition section worth 75 points, maintenance of traffic and schedule section worth 25 points, for a total of 100 points. The evaluation team consisted of MoDOT Southwest employees and MoDOT Central Office employees, bringing a diverse background with extensive knowledge. There were 8 people who served on the project definition team, 7 on the maintenance of traffic and schedule team. We utilized 5 technical experts and 2 facilitators. This map shows the improvement locations for the design build project. The segments in blue are required segments for the proposer to make improvements. Moving from west to east across the Southwest District, will provide interchange improvements at the I-44, I-49 North interchange, also known as Fidelity, in Jasper County. In Lawrence County, we'll make pavement improvements east of Sarcoxie. Moving into Greene County, Webster, and Laclede counties, will provide pavement improvements, corridor, and safety improvements. The Route EE Bridge, which is also Division Street in Springfield, will have an improvement. And the Missouri 13 interchange will have interchange improvements. The orange segments on this map are bonus areas where teams may propose added value improvements to add value to their proposal. We encourage teams to consider these bonus areas only after meeting the project goals for the required segments in blue. I'm pleased today to announce the best value proposer as the Capital CMT team. With the Capital CMT team, their proposal delivers far more than the minimum required improvements. The greater Springfield area will have 15 miles of new 6 lanes on I-44, and when combined with the current construction project, the greater Springfield area will have a total of 20 miles of 6 lanes. They'll use a durable pavement on I-44 that should last the test of time. And they'll maintain 2 lanes on I-44 during construction to minimize those impacts to the traveling community. The most successful accomplishment of this proposal is the reduction of fatal and serious injury crashes by over 100. The Capital CMT team proposes the operational and safety improvements at the 2 required interchanges, Fidelity and Missouri 13, providing resilient interchanges that have excellent operations well into the future. In addition, they provide safety and operational improvements at 4 additional interchanges. So in total, 6 interchanges: Fidelity, US 160, Missouri 13, Norton Road, Grant Avenue, and US 65. Overall, the Capital CMT team exceeded expectations, delivering a visionary approach that will shape and modernize I-44 and its neighboring communities for generations. This is an enhanced graphic of the proposal for the Fidelity interchange. And we have a drive-through of that interchange. This is looking north. And this is an enhanced graphic of the proposal for the Missouri 13 interchange here in Springfield. And we have a drive-through of that interchange. Commissioners, we recommend that the commission accept the orally presented staff recommendation for award or rejection of the best value proposal of the Ford 44 Southwest I-44 Improvements Design Build Project with the best value proposal of Capital CMT. We recommend that the commission authorize the director, chief engineer, chief financial officer, or their designee to negotiate and execute a contract with the best value proposer subject to approval as to form by the Chief Counsel's Office and contingent on the transfer of funds to the State Road Fund I-44 Improvement Fund, or the SRF I-44 Improvement Fund. And we recommend that the commission authorize payment of the agreed stipend to the 3 unsuccessful proposing teams. Are there any questions?
Well, thank you. I think we'll get the motion on the table and then open it up for discussion. So the motion would be to accept the presentation of the Capital CMT team, to authorize the director, chief engineer, and others to negotiate and execute a contract, and authorize payment of the agreed stipend to the 3 unsuccessful proposing teams. Is there such a motion? It's been moved and seconded. At this point, we'll stop and take comment or question. Is there any discussion, comment, or question?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to thank Christy and your team. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into these design build projects, and also to the other teams that were not successful. Going through this process makes each of these teams better. And just the sheer amount of competition that we see on these is incredible. I'm proud of Missouri for the way that we do design build. The value that we're providing Missourians is tremendous. And it really is revolutionizing our system throughout the state and best utilizing the funding that we have available. So it's a tremendous opportunity and really exciting to see this project move forward on I-44. So,
thank you, Chairman Boatwright. Other comments or questions? Well, let me just echo that. My thanks go out to all the bidders, and especially the unsuccessful bidders. We are blessed with robust competition, and that competition is really producing a lot of wonderful innovation. For the local community, this is a long time in coming. I know you've been waiting a long time for this. I know there are some people in the audience who worked very hard even before this to address the problems here. I want to give special thanks to members of the General Assembly, former Governor Parson, Governor Keogh. I want to call out in particular those members of the General Assembly who made this project possible. This is largely a general revenue supported project, and so we really need to recognize that this wouldn't have been possible without the support of the members of the General Assembly, many of whom are here today. I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless Director Hassinger, do you have anything you want to add? All right, well, get her done, huh? Okay, well, there is a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question, and the secretary will call the roll. Yes.
aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Let me take one. Let me take an additional moment to call out Senator Lincoln Huff. Senator Huff is primarily responsible for this project, and he has shown incredible generational leadership during his time in the Missouri Senate, and we are extremely grateful to his leadership both for this and for the Build I-70 program. Thanks to your team for a wonderful product. Congratulations to the successful bidder, and our heartfelt gratitude to those who were the unsuccessful bidders, but nonetheless added to the process. Thank you. Okay, we're getting close to the end now. There's a related item that involves a technical matter that gets the money in the right place it needs to be, and that is an action item. Brenda Morris, Chief Financial Officer, will present the forward project contract authorizations. Brenda.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger. During the 2024 Missouri legislative session, the General Assembly approved $577.5 million to construct safety, capacity, bridge, and pavement improvements at various locations between I-49 and Fidelity to east of Conway. These funds continue to be reappropriated by the General Assembly. The structure of the funds for the Forward 44 effort are very similar to the structure used for the Improve I-70 program. $363.75 million of those funds came in the form of authority to issue bonds. That issuance is planned for later this year. Another $213.75 million of general revenue was approved to be transferred into the Office of Administration I-44 Improvement Fund for use on the project. In accordance with the Memorandum of Understanding with the Office of Administration, monies were to be transferred from the OA I-44 Improvement Fund into the State Road Fund I-44 Improvement Fund as the Commission awarded projects. As part of Christie's recommendation, the Commission approved a contingent award for the Southwest I-44 Improvement Design Build project. The finance plan for this project includes $102.665 million of funding from the State Road Fund I-44 Improvement Fund. Through various other awards, the Commission has already approved transfers into the State Road Fund I-44 Improvement Fund in the amount of $12.7 million as of April 30th, 2026. We recommend the Commission authorize the Director and Chief Financial Officer to request the transfer of funds from the OA I-44 Improvement Fund to the State Road Fund I-44 Improvement Fund in the amount of $102.665 million. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? I would remind the audience that this is a technical matter that's in the statute that authorized the general revenue that requires us to seek this transfer. And so what we would be voting to do now is to make the transfer from the state fund over to the road fund. And assuming that that gets done, then that would allow the project to go forward.
That is correct.
Yeah, so technical matter, but an important one. Are there any thoughts, questions?
Sure.
Yeah, Commissioner Hager.
I have a few thoughts about this.
Okay.
Yeah, Brenda, thank you again for your work on making sure this general revenue money come into the state road fund so we can continue with this project. And I too would like to thank my friend Lincoln Huff for being supportive of this, as well as the entire legislative delegation in taking discretionary money and looking around the state and using it for infrastructure purposes right here in this own community. That not only this we will benefit from today, but our children and grandchildren will also have the benefit of that largesse we have right now well into the future. It is something unusual that the General Assembly would do that, and they've done these past few years, and I think it's a wise move for that infrastructure improvements, again, so that future generations can benefit from it. Because to some extent, they're the ones that are going to have to pay for it too in the future. But anyhow, thank you for your management of this. Thank you for working with us on it, and what a wonderful project. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well said, and thank you. Ed, you have anything you want to add here?
Well, I just wanted to kind of make sure that we're all aware, normally we'll come up and take a picture with the winning team. But we're going to have a press event following the close of the commission meeting, so I think we'll save that till then, because we still have a little more business to conduct.
Okay, very good. All right, then, in order to actually move forward on this, we'll need a motion to authorize the Director and Chief Financial Officer to request the transfer of funds from the OA I-44 Improvement Fund to the State Road Fund I-44 Improvement Fund in the amount of $102,665,000. Is there a motion?
So
Mr.
moved.
Chairman, I would be pleased to make that motion.
Well, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, the secretary will call the roll.
Commissioner Erdman,
Aye.
Commissioner Boatright,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Hegeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Slay,
Aye.
Commissioner Baker.
Aye.
It is approved, and congratulations, Springfield. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an action item again for Brenda, Chief Financial Officer, who will present the fiscal year 2027 budget for final approval.
Good morning again, and today I'm seeking approval for the fiscal year 2027 budget. The fiscal year 2027 budget totals $7.4 billion, which is 6.7% less than the fiscal year 2026 budget, mainly because of expenditures associated with the Improve I-70 program. Overall, the department had a pretty successful year in the budget that has been passed. The Commission's highest priority this year was the passage of the supplemental budget to ensure the department had sufficient appropriation authority for the 2026 fiscal year. In addition to the supplemental, we also needed the legislature to restore the core budgets for the same appropriations, that is administration, safety and operations, and program delivery. And I have good news to share that the legislature approved the request to restore the core budgets of those appropriations. We are very much appreciative of that. And we are headed into fiscal year 2027 with the full authority needed and will not have to go through the supplemental process in fiscal year 2027 for this purpose. Despite the increasing scarcity of resources in general revenue, we still saw a desire by the legislature to invest in transportation, and we'll discuss those items in today's presentation. Before I get on with my presentation, I do want to give a shout out to the hard work of many employees here at MoDOT that helped during the budget process. Doug Hood, Janelle Lucanati, Sam Bearhorse, Paige Bain, and their staff in financial services are responsible for compiling the department's submittal and supporting it through the legislative process. They really do the heavy lifting when it comes to working the budget through the legislature. Department-wide, various divisions and districts provide assistance as we get specific questions and information requests. Governmental Relations also provided some assistance this year. And in addition, the director and the commission were very instrumental in getting the budget passed. And to all, I give a huge thank you. I'm going to give a quick overview of the items that were passed as part of this budget. Just a reminder, as part of the financial planning model, we have 3 important documents. Each serves a different purpose, but they all fit together and represent the department's spending plan. State statutes require all state departments to submit an appropriation request by October 1 to the state's budget director. Last August, I presented to the commission the department's fiscal year 2027 appropriation submission. The submission was then shepherded through the legislative process, with the governor recommending his budget in January and the General Assembly passing their version on May 6th. Under the commission's policy under financial, a policy titled operating budget governs the approvals needed by the commission. This policy indicates the commission will approve the budget by the budget category, that is administration, safety and operations, program delivery, fleet facilities and information systems, multimodal, and fringe benefits. You can see those listed on attachment 1 of your materials. The policy also delegates the authority to make decisions for single transactions depending on the dollar amount within those budget categories. The commission's approval at the budget category level is what we are recommending today. This pie chart shows an overview of the department's budget by budget category. Not a surprise, the largest budget category is the program delivery at 80%. That includes $412 million for General Assembly designated and funded projects, funding for the Improve I-70 program, and funding for the Ford. But if we continue to look at this chart, that's really not the whole story. Most of this budget is put towards transportation work and projects. This includes funds for program delivery, safety and operations, fleet facilities and information systems, and multimodal. The budgeted funds for these areas is approximately 95% of the entire budget. The remaining parts of the budget are administration, refunds, and fringe benefits. The refunds are associated with motor carriers. The majority of the refunds for motor carriers is because motor carriers' fuel tax is paid in the state where they fuel up their vehicles, but the funds are distributed based on where they actually drive the miles. I'm going to talk about the fiscal year 2027 budget using the department's 4 focus areas. The first is deliver the program. As mentioned earlier, the core appropriation for program delivery was restored as part of the fiscal year 2027 budget. Along with this core amount and the General Assembly designated and funded projects, that is nearly $6 billion. These are the funds to hire consultants, purchase right-of-way, make contractor payments, pass through federal funds to local entities, and pay debt service. In addition to the regular STIP projects, this budget includes several of the projects appropriated last year but were restricted by the governor at the beginning of the fiscal year 2026. These have been reappropriated but still retain their restricted status. These group of projects include climbing Branson, as well as there are others that were previously restricted but were released this spring were the KCI roundabout and the project at St. Louis Lambert Airport to demolish a building. Those were reappropriated in this year's budget. In addition to reappropriating the General Assembly designated and funded projects, the General Assembly also approved a handful of new projects. While considerably less than previous years, this action demonstrates the General Assembly's desires to still invest in transportation. A couple of those projects include $1.5 million for road improvements in Bolivar and $6.4 million for an overpass in Seymour, as well as there are a few other projects. Over the last 4 years, the General Assembly has appropriated $320 million to improve low-volume minor roads. As part of the fiscal year 2027 budget, the General Assembly appropriated an additional $20 million for this effort. The second focus area is to restore operations. And again, we are thankful for the core appropriations being restored for safety and operation. This is important to allow the department to perform activities citizens expect to see, like mowing, signing, striping, and pavement repair, making sure those activities are actually accomplished. The commission pay plan included as part of the appropriation submission was not recommended by the governor nor approved by the General Assembly. In fact, there were no statewide pay plans passed by the General Assembly this year. However, the department requested an additional 100 positions for maintenance. The governor recommended 50 of those positions, and the General Assembly ended up approving 75 of those positions. The budget I'm presenting today has the personal service dollars and fringe benefits for those 75 maintenance positions. These positions will help the department restore its operational workforce that will ensure maintenance activities are completed. Also related to pay, the General Assembly approved a deferred comp monthly match of $25. So the state of Missouri will give $25 to an employee's deferred comp account as long as the employee contributes at least $25 themselves. The third focus area is work safely for our employees and traveling public. The fiscal year 2027 budget includes an additional $2.9 million for safety and operations. These funds will be used to do additional asphalt and concrete repairs on the roadways in accordance with the district's work plans, making the roads safer for the traveling public. In addition, for supporting the World Cup activities, roadside management, and safety measures. In addition, it is important to continue to invest in our equipment to ensure that it is safe for our employees to use. The replacement cost for fleet is $595 million and continues to increase because of inflation. This budget includes an additional $3 million to invest in our fleet. That amount is enough to replace 13 dump trucks. The last focus area is focus on customers. We are a transportation department, and while the largest portion of our budget is focused on roads and bridges, we must also ensure funding for other modes because all of our customers do not drive cars. Many of our customers rely on other modes of transportation to arrive at their destinations. This includes buses and rail. The budget includes $2.5 million from the Missouri State Capital Commission Capital Preservation Fund for state transit assistance. These funds, along with the $1.7 million of funds from the State Transportation Fund, are used by various transit providers for operating assistance, as well as the local match for various federal transit programs to purchase fleet. This budget includes $18.1 million for Amtrak, the passenger rail service between Kansas City and St. Louis. $573,927 of this amount is one-time funding just for this fiscal year. The passenger rail service makes 10 stops across the state, and in fiscal year 2025, 197,000 passengers rode Amtrak. Again, overall, the department's budget was successful. The budget does continue to be complex and holds certain challenges. I would remind everyone that the governor does still need to sign the budget bills, and any changes the governor makes, we will come back to the commission in the form of a budget amendment at a future meeting to make those adjustments. We recommend the commission approve the budget as presented, contingent upon the governor's approval and all General Assembly designated and funded projects being vetted through the planning process. I would be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Brenda. Are there any comments, questions from the commission?
Just a comment of thanks, Brenda, for your work and the work of the entire team. It's a huge budget. It is complex. That's quite an understatement that you make, but very well done. And we do appreciate the approval of the legislature and the potential support of the governor and the 75 new positions. That's very important to us in caring for the system and keeping it clean and safe. So we appreciate that. And no other questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Greg.
Approve, I make the motion that we approve Brenda's recommendation.
Okay, that would be the motion that's on the screen.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. I did want to make a few comments. This culminates a year-long process on the budget. And just for the audience's review, it starts out with a recommendation we ask for the governor. We make a recommendation, we request funds. Governor submits his budget, we get some, we don't get some. And then the legislature completely vets this. In the past, there's been some question about that. Our budget gets completely vetted through the budget process and by the governor's office when we make our request. In the end, the legislature approves a budget. It's approved and sent to the governor, and as is the case, at the very moment, it awaits the governor's action. In advance of today's meeting, our budget review group had an in-depth review of this and went through it in pretty good detail, and that underlies where we are now, where we consider it for approval. Ironically, here in another month, we'll begin the process all over again for next year. This budget is contingent upon the governor's signature. I think people understand that. It's about 6.7% less than it was a year ago, largely because we're spending money on the I-70 project and we're starting on the downward slope of that. Personal services is about 1.2 million more, but we got the 75 positions authorized. There was no pay plan approved. And so that's not included in this. We got a little more money for expense and equipment. And of course, program funds are contingent upon the governor's legislatively designated approvals of general revenue programs. All in all, it is a budget that is down from the prior year. But the thing I'm most proud of is we're shifting resources back into the operating side, and we're addressing those windshield customer service issues in this budget even better than we have in the past. So with that, is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, the motion is to approve the budget as presented, and the secretary will call the roll.
Commissioner Erdman,
Aye.
Commissioner Boatright,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Hegeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Slay, Commissioner Baker. All ayes.
Okay, the budget is approved, thanks, and we'll await the governor's action. The next agenda item is an action item. Brittany O'Connor, Planning and Program Coordinator, and Levi Woods, Administrator of Freight and Waterways, will present the 2026 Long Range Transportation Plan and State Freight Rail Plan. Because this involves the adoption of plans for the rail industry in Missouri, I'm going to be abstaining from this conversation and vote. I'll let the Vice Chairman preside over this portion of the program. Brittany?
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, and Director Hassinger. Yes, we are here to present the updated long-range transportation plan and state freight and rail plan, two foundational elements of MoDOT's long-range planning framework. guiding investments and strategies across all modes of transportation. Since our last update to you, both plans have completed the 30-day public comment period. Those comments have been reviewed and incorporated, and today we are presenting the final documents for your consideration and adoption. So 3 key resources were developed to ensure the plan is accessible to a wide range of audiences and stakeholders. We have the full plan document, which is the complete detailed long-range plan. It's about 135 pages in length. We have then the executive summary, which is a more concise, high-level overview of the plan's priorities, which is just 34 pages. And then new this year, we also have an interactive story map, which is a visual, user-friendly way to explore Missouri's transportation systems, needs, and future outcomes. All 3 of these resources will be available on MoDOT's website. So the 6 long-term goals that you see here on the screen define the strategic direction for Missouri's transportation system across all modes. 5 goals carry over from the previous plan, and 1 new goal of innovative has been added, highlighting the need to embrace technology and creative solutions. These goals also align with the US DOT strategic plan that was recently put out by reinforcing a transportation system that prioritizes safety, drives infrastructure modernization, encourages innovation, and supports efficient, accountable stewardship of taxpayer resources, ensuring MoDOT's long-range direction remains consistent with national priorities and expectations. This figure compares projected road and bridge needs with projected available revenues through 2050, using the 2025 funded program as the benchmark. So a few key points. We took a conservative approach with this analysis. So our analysis assumes that our revenues meet the 2025 funded program's need through 2030 to align with what we would normally fund through our statewide transportation improvement program, or STIP. In 2031, a funding gap emerges as inflation outpaces revenue growth. By 2050, the gap widens to roughly $590 million per year. It's important to note that this does not consider the annual high priority unfunded needs gap of approximately $1.2 billion that also grows with inflation. This widening revenue gap is one of the most significant takeaways of this update. It underscores the importance of long-range planning and creates a critical opportunity to discuss sustainable funding strategies for Missouri's transportation future. We saw a similar trend with multimodal needs and revenues. So on the screen is just road and bridge. So the long-term imbalance between multimodal needs and revenues reinforces why our planning framework must continue addressing investment trade-offs across all modes of transportation. So during the public comment period for both plans, MoDOT received 80 comments from 33 individuals. As a reminder, outreach played a major role in this update, and we held public meetings, we hosted online surveys, we did different social media outreach, and also had stakeholder workshops throughout the plan update, which provided additional opportunities for input during the development of the plans. Most of the comments focused on some themes around funding concerns, some project-specific feedback, and multimodal needs in general, but more specifically, transit and bicycle and pedestrian facilities. Safety also emerged as a common theme, further affirming its central role in the plan goals. So some more common themes included, again, those corridor-specific improvement requests. Those were shared with the relevant districts. There was also growing interest in passenger rail for our state. Concerns were shared about interstate speeds and preserving the infrastructure that we have today. And there was also strong support for active transportation planning. These themes reinforce multimodal priorities already embedded within MoDOT's planning framework. So based on the public and stakeholder input, MoDOT made several targeted refinements to strengthen this final plan that we're presenting today. We added emphasis on recent statewide transit funding cuts and their long-term challenges. We included acknowledgement of the ongoing statewide intercity bus study, or bus needs assessment, excuse me. We enhanced detail on coordination with our regional and local planning partners. And we also incorporated minor refinements across the plan recommendations, but all of the plan recommendations were strongly supported by the commenters. These changes ensure the long-range transportation plan remains aligned with customer needs and our responsiveness to Missouri residents. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Levi to share details on the state freight and rail plan.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Director Hassinger, Madam Secretary. As part of the state freight and rail plan, the documents we received is the full document, which provides a comprehensive assessment of current freight movements in Missouri and evaluates projected industry trends through 2045. The executive summary, it offers a concise overview of freight impact on Missourians and outlines key recommendations to position MoDOT to meet emerging challenges and opportunities. The truck parking analysis updates our existing analysis by identifying locations where truck parking demand currently meets or exceeds available capacity. The Amtrak Missouri River Runner Economic Impact Study includes a one-page summary used by MoDOT and stakeholder partners and public outreach to support continued general revenue funding for the service. And the Public Port Economic Impact Study includes a one-page summary used by MoDOT and port partners in public outreach to support ongoing general revenue funding for capital improvement projects at Missouri's public ports. The public comments, as Brittany talked about there a little bit, she covered some of the details of it. Just kind of as a reminder, as we went through this plan, we had public outreach. We had the Modal Partner Advisory Committee and talked with our planning partners. So the public comment period was kind of the third time or third chance for folks to give their feedback. So as expected, the public feedback on the state freight and rail plan was limited. Among those who did participate, the majority indicated that the state freight and rail plan met their expectations. The key themes that we did get from public input was passenger rail, interest in increasing cross-state service speeds, and incorporating findings from the FRA long distance service study, truck size and location, concerns regarding potential increases in allowing truck length and weights on interstates, and planning partner coordination, support for enhanced freight data sharing and analysis between MoDOT and planning partners. These topics were either already addressed within the state freight and rail plan or fell outside of the plan scope. So the outcome from that was, based on the feedback, no changes were made or recommendations included from the state draft of the state freight and rail plan. So some of the key takeaways we have is the value of freight is outpacing the weight of the freight. In 2023, there was 1.1 billion tons of freight valued at $1.7 trillion. And it's anticipated that in 2043, there will be 1.3 billion tons of freight valued at $2.3 trillion. A continued trend in Missouri is the high percentage of through traffic on rail and trucks. This is freight that does not start or isn't bound for Missouri, just passing through. This emphasizes our position as a freight hub in the center of the nation. Our location also positions us well for regional distribution models that has emerged in the last 5 to 7 years, resulting largely from an increase in e-commerce distribution and supply chain shifts based on trade policy modifications. As Commissioner Boatwright mentioned earlier this morning in his legislative update, a shortage of truck parking on rural interstates continues. In 2023, statewide, there was a shortage of 3,417. And this gap is anticipated to grow to 6,460 spaces by 2050. Last month, the Commission approved a truck parking design build project as part of the Improve I-70 project. And this project will help close that gap some, and we'll be adding approximately 255 parking spaces along that corridor. The first and last mile connections to airports, freight centers, rail yards, intermodal, and transload facilities are needed for projected growth and to reduce stress on the highway system. Intermodal and transload facilities are the points where freight shifts modes, enabling the use of an entire freight transportation system. Short line railroads are small rail lines that handle regional movements or movements from industrial areas to the Class 1 rail lines for longer movements. And Missouri's 3 cargo airports are expanding operations, especially for the package handling from e-commerce. So how does freight affect us? It affects us in our daily lives. Freight plays a critical role in the daily lives of all Missourians. The growth of existing businesses and the attraction of new ones depends heavily on how efficiently raw materials, finished products, and supplies move in and out of their facilities. Industry site selectors consistently evaluate freight efficiency alongside workforce availability when determining whether to invest in Missouri and create jobs. Globally, medical facilities rely on reliable movement of Missouri University research reactor produced isotopes used to calibrate equipment and treat patients, underscoring the importance of a dependable freight system. The availability of price of products, whether purchased in stores or through e-commerce, are directly influenced by the performance of our transportation network. Job creation, business success, product availability, and overall cost of living all depend on an efficient freight system. These factors shape the quality of life for every Missourian. And so today we're asking the Commission to approve the 2026 Long-Range Transportation Plan and adopt the 2026 State Freight and Rail Plan.
All right. Brittany, Levi, thank you guys. Do we want to take time and go through every page of this? Are you guys?
Yes, please do.
Are you guys good? I did go through every page of it, and it's a lot. So for the folks in the audience, these will both be online and accessible once they're approved. A lot of information into it. You know, I'm a nerdy engineer, so this was right down my alley going through these. Tremendous job by you and the team putting this together. And with that, I'll open it up for questions or comments from the commission.
Just a comment, Dustin. Thank you, Brittany and Levi, for your presentation. You know, I know a lot of work goes in this, and I feel confident that we're approving the right transportation that we need. So I appreciate you guys. And no, I did not go through it. I rely on you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions, comments, Director?
I just think it's important to point out a couple of things. You know, this was the final comment period, but the amount of work that went on with planning partners, with industry folks, with anybody that we surveyed across the state is one of the reasons that we didn't get a lot of comments, because we did the work up front in the development of the actual plans. And the other thing that I think is just important, you know, people get really excited when we start talking about projects. And when we're talking about a 30-year vision, the things that are these are the foundational things that lead to those things. And maybe people don't get quite as excited about it, but it does create some foundational things that we need to go back and check with the public to see if that's still the direction we want to go. And I think what it reaffirmed is Missourians are telling us we need to take care of the existing system. That has been through the last 5 or 6 plans consistent, that safety is important, that they want some choice in modes of transportation and have some alternatives. But we got to recheck that all the time. And you notice in this plan, innovation starts to come into the picture. And I think as we're talking about automation in the freight industry, our tour of Prime yesterday shows how much technology is playing into the movement of freight and people and goods. And this just kind of reinforces those things and gives us kind of the blueprint for the next phase of planning as we get into now, what does this turn into with projects? The other thing, and this is something that I asked specifically to make sure that we highlighted, is we're about to have a change in funding and how it happens. You know, the change in how automobiles are powered is going to have an impact on how transportation is funded. And we need to be looking at that, not tomorrow and not next week, but what does that look like 30 years from now? And then more importantly, that chart that Brittany showed you, the impact of inflation cannot be overlooked in being successful in transportation. So this plan looks at not only what is that in the next 2 and 5 years, it looks at what does that impact us in the next 20. And I think all of those things together, they've done a great job of putting this together. Levi's and Brittany's leadership has been really great on this. And so we're really comfortable in the product we've put before you.
Thank you, Director. So this is an action item. The recommendation is in front of us on the screen. So approve the 2026 Long-Range Transportation Plan and adopt the 2026 State Freight and Rail Plan. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second. Commission Secretary, call roll.
Commissioner Erdman.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Commissioner Boatright.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Hegeman.
Aye.
Commissioner Slay. Commissioner Baker.
Aye.
Well, looks like the ayes have it. Brittany, Levi, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Mr. Chairman, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you. The next agenda item is a non-action item. Brenda Morris, Chief Financial Officer, will provide a brief overview of the outstanding pricing results of the sale of the third lien state road bond, Series A 2026. Give us the good news.
Good morning. I do have good news to share. Last month, you approved us to move forward with selling Amendment 3 bonds to use as a resource to support the statewide transportation improvement program. On May 19, 2026, a competitive sale was held. The sale was successful despite the many things going on in the world and its impacts to the markets. The municipal bond market showed how it is resilient. Interest rates did rise since January when we started work on this transaction. However, the results I will share with you today are within the estimates we used. The commission issued $608.52 million of bonds to receive proceeds of $650 million. The bonds were sold at a premium, which means investors were willing to pay more for the bonds to ensure they got the coupon rate on the bonds. The true interest cost rate on the bonds was 2.97%, which is a good rate for the current market conditions, which was close to the interest rate we used for planning purposes. We had good participation from the banks. We had a total of 5 bids received, very competitive, only 3 basis points between all 5 bids, and had a total of 18 banks that participated either as a lead bank or as a syndicate bank. 6 of the 10 banks in our pre-qualified investment banking pool participated. And while competition was tight, B of A Securities placed the winning bid. Congratulations to the commission on a successful sale. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Congratulations and a job well done. Comment, Commissioner Hagerman?
Yeah, just a quick comment. Yeah, Brenda, again, thank you and your team for doing a wonderful job of getting the value out there. You know, even in this time of high interest rates, it seems like it's coming up. You got a very competitive bidding process and very competitive bids on it. And I think a wonderful rate for us. So, gosh, thank you. It allows us to do even more projects and good for the citizens of the state of Missouri because of your and your team's diligent efforts to help us stretch those dollars even further. So wonderful. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Other comment? Let me echo that. At a time when inflation is 4% or better to get a 2.9 and in an environment of rising rates, it allows us to continue the program and to kind of smooth out that line as other funding ebbs and flows. It's really important for the public to understand we're able to do this because the Constitution earmarks the vehicle motor sales tax to the debt service on these bonds. That is critically important and something that we really rely upon, and just want to make that point going forward. Thanks again. Appreciate your time. And with that, we've arrived at the public comment period. Members of the public who have not scheduled presentations before the commission may speak to the commission on transportation-related issues by signing at the registration desk at 9:30 a.m. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person, 10 minutes per topic. As I mentioned at the outset, because we have quite a few who have registered for public comment, I would ask you to honor the 5-minute limit per person. And to the extent that an argument has previously been made, we don't need you to repeat the argument, but do feel free to say whatever you'd like to say. With that, we're going to start with the elected officials. And we'll begin with State Representative Bill Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. What a great day here in Springfield. And I want to say thank you to the commission, to the director and his people for the way they have been delivering these projects as we put so much money on the table, and they have performed greatly, and it's greatly appreciated. But that's not what I came to talk about. And I sure hope my wife isn't listening to this right now, because I'm going to draw a parallel to my marriage. Even when you make a lot of decisions that everybody is completely in line with, eventually you're going to reach one where you have opposition. And that, for a number of us, as you know from the letter that we sent you, comments have been made previously, is this project on East Sunshine. I have several colleagues that have weighed in with me on this from both sides of the aisle. For one, as you can tell by my gray hair, have been traveling Sunshine Street for 73 years and have observed under all kinds of conditions and watching traffic turn. To me, the beauty of what we have right now is that we've got a left turn lane that runs from 65 highway to just about as far west as you want to go. And so when there's a large number of people wanting to turn on a particular street, they have all the room in the world to get over in the left lane. We don't have a median that only allows so many cars to get there. We also have to take in consideration all the restaurants, for the purveyors in 18-wheelers. They're going to have to go into neighborhoods and turn around to get to where they're going, or they're going to have to take a very long run around through town to get to where they can make a right turn lane. I have, unlike others who, and I don't question their integrity that say that they have people that are for this. I have not had a single person, and I know multiple people that have businesses on here. I know people that live in the neighborhoods around there. I have not had a single individual that has indicated to me that they were in favor of moving forward on this project. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your all's time. And again, I appreciate what you all do and what MoDOT does. I've enjoyed thoroughly working with them since I came back to the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Owen, and thank you for your leadership for Springfield.
I would be remiss in not also thanking Representative Cody Smith, the former House Budget Chair.
Oh, yes.
Along with Senator Huff.
Amen.
And for their leadership, or this would not have gone through like it did.
Thank you for that. Yes. That's critically important. And thanks for your leadership. Next is Senator Curtis Trent. Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Just want to echo the comments by Representative Owens. There's been a lot said, and I know there are many members of the community here that want to speak on this as well, so I'm going to try to stay well under 5 minutes. But, continue to be very concerned about the East Sunshine Project, what that will mean for commerce in the city, and what that will mean for overall regional impact. We've seen in other parts of the state where economic corridors have, for whatever reason, lost their desirability, and you see businesses leave, you see members of the community leave, and those places become very hard to sustain. The city that's left still has a lot of the fixed expenses of maintaining those areas, but no longer has the revenue left in order to make all those things function. And then you see economic growth and development sprawl out into the surrounding county or counties. It becomes, very chaotic and very wasteful because you're duplicating services and economic growth that could have all happened inside the city center, which would have been a lot less disruptive to the surrounding communities and to everyone else involved. And so I know that's not the intention of anyone that's been involved in this, certainly not the intention of the city or the commission, but just continue to have very strong concerns that if this project proceeds, you're going to see permanent tangible harm done to that economic corridor, which will have unintended side effects that will be negative for the whole region. And so really appreciate everyone's continued work to make the plan better and hopefully to consider whether or not to proceed at all based on the concerns that have been expressed by many members of the elected delegation from this region and from so many members of the community that have voiced their concerns over the last several years as well. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Senator, and thanks for your leadership for Springfield. Next, we have a member of the Springfield City Council, Councilman Brandon Jensen. Councilman Jensen, thank you for joining us today.
All right, good morning, commissioners. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And I'll just note that you were very wise to put a 5-minute time limit. If anybody around here knows, I do like to talk, so I'll try to keep to that time. I want to start off with just appreciation for the work that you all do. Your service as public officials can be messy and challenging as we try to weigh the competing interests that are put before us, and ultimately trying to make a decision that serves the best interest of the people of our great city and our great state. I also want to appreciate the commitment that the commission and MoDOT have made to the city of Springfield. It's an invaluable partnership to making our city, as your own mission statement says, a world-class transportation system which fosters safety and economic development. I'm here to speak about the proposed Sunshine Street project as an example of that mission in action in our great city. Listening to your comments today, I had the chance to attend this meeting last year. This is my first opportunity to speak to you all. Mr. Chairman, I was really struck by the questions you asked about the process and local alignment. As an individual with a career in community planning and economic development, those are really critical components of any good project to be successful in our city. To provide some additional context to the answers that our great leaders provided already, I would first direct you to the city's comprehensive plan. So this was a document that was adopted just a few years ago and included over 10,000 individual engagement points with residents. It has been formally adopted by City Council, and it includes two really key facets of guidance for these types of projects as we look at making our transportation system work better in the city. The first is our top 10 initiatives. So it says if we do anything over the next 20 years between now and 2040, what are the 10 things that this city needs to focus on? And one of those was corridor improvements. It talks specifically about including right-of-way management and addressing proactively issues with congestion and livability with engineering countermeasures. The proposed Sunshine Street Median project meets the intent of that top 10 initiative. The second element is the transportation and mobility chapter. As Commissioner Boatwright noted, I'm also a policy nerd, so I've got our comprehensive plan tabbed and bookmarked. That chapter in section 2.2 specifically directs us to identify and address system safety deficiencies utilizing data-driven approaches. That is exactly what your staff have done in coordination with Ozarks Transportation Organization in the city of Springfield. It is using a data-driven approach to proactively address issues as we see them emerging in our transportation system. The second element I want to talk about is the role of the Ozarks Transportation Organization itself. I have the opportunity to serve on the board as an elected representative for the city of Springfield. And just over a year ago, we adopted a safety action plan that includes the exact same types of mitigation strategies that your project is contemplating on the city-owned portion of Sunshine Street. So I think it's safe to say that even the elected officials and administrative staff from our region voted to approve that safety action plan, which includes these same exact types of mitigation strategies. So you're not doing this work alone, and it's being done in the full view of the local decision makers. Okay, I gotta go quick. City Council's also adopted some public safety transformation priorities and a legislative priority to proactively endorse all requests from the Ozarks Transportation Organization. I also want to talk about balance, so that public safety versus economic development. I would echo Director Hassinger's comments that you have experienced, well-informed, and well-intentioned staff who have significantly scaled back the original proposal to only 18% of the originally proposed medians along the corridor, and those are focused on the 4 highest crash rate clusters along the corridor. Safety is the focus and function, but not single-mindedly so. This is being done responsibly and serving our people's safety. Corridor efficiency, as was noted, is also economic development. Folks are choosing not to travel along Sunshine Street because they know the congestion that they're going to face. So just to wrap up, you're going to hear from a lot of folks. You already have. I hope you focus first on protecting our people and know that you will not be alone in the effort of improving this corridor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman, and thanks for your public service. Next, we're another elected official, member of the City Council, Bruce Maybe I should let you. Okay, I'm sorry about that.
That's
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, for being here and for allowing me to take the time to give you my position on this particular same topic, by the way, of the Sunshine East Corridor. Unlike my fellow councilman, Brandon Jensen, I'm not the nerd that he is in the respect of all the details. I usually take a bigger picture view as an architect by trade. I'm a developer by profession. On City Council, I'm a neighborhood association president. And so I try and take a bit of a longer view of these kinds of situations. I am the Zone 4 council member, which half of Sunshine, the south half of Sunshine is in my zone. And as was mentioned, we are also looking at a city-owned portion for a very similar kind of arrangement. I live on a block where I use that section of Sunshine that the city owns. Much like one of my the previous commenters here, a little drawback to my wife, we realized that at some point, I'm not going to be able to go down to Sunshine and take a left. At some point, there's likely going to be a median there. So we've already started changing our driving habits, right? So I think that's an important factor that we all have to consider, is that things are going to change. City Council has adopted some priorities you may be aware of: economic growth and vitality, public safety, which is another big topic, housing, and the development process. These all tie into our transportation system, and making it more safe and better and more useful for our residents is really important. I know we'll have businesses that'll have a little potentially inconvenienced customers, but I also know that we have situations within our city that's already happened, and the customers have just changed their driving habits in order to accommodate. Ultimately, we have to think a longer view, take a longer view here. And it is your road at this point. And I think if the team has gone through the safety checks, and I believe that the process of having come back and make those adjustments is really key and important, I think that's the right thing to do. So in closing, I just want to say we need to be looking not tomorrow and not at next week, as was said earlier, but 20 years out. And I think, as Councilman Jensen mentioned, this aligns completely with our comprehensive plan. And I'm glad to take any questions or comments from the commission if necessary.
Well, thank you, Councilman, and thank you for your public service.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Next testimony will come from Tom Fowler, Jr. Tom?
Commissioners, Director, I'm Tom Fowler III. May look like junior, but I'm third. Been here 57 years in town. Last 27 years of my life, I've worked at the East Corridor, the Sunshine. In fact, my office sits closer to the Sunshine than any building on Sunshine, I reckon. And I've seen a lot of wrecks over the years in the intersections. There are 4 crash-heavy zones on Sunshine. 2 of them are line of sight. You're not going to fix it with a median. It's not going to happen. One's by Walmart, and one's down by the Peking House. Those are where those wrecks pile up. And it's line of sight coming over the hill. Medium's not going to do anything. Over the period of time that this has been going on, I guess 2018 you started it, 2023 we become aware of it. Immediately all the neighbors on East Sunshine are like, this is a bad idea. Walmart weighed in. Walmart corporate weighed in, sent letters saying this is a bad idea. It's going to crush our store. It's going to cause problems. This isn't a good fix. Robert Roberts on the other side of 65, same thing. You're going to slaughter us. Put in a median, you're going to cut our sales down. It's about units. Our units are going to go down. Wendy's, Mike Hammers, same thing. You're going to clobber us. And it just keeps working down the street. The sheriff comes to meetings. He lays out that this is an awful idea. They need to be able to get around. Traffic needs to part. We build it. You guys are creating extra lanes to move traffic. Yet on Sunshine, you want to condense it and make it smaller and harder to make turns and get out of the way. It doesn't make any sense to me sitting there watching the traffic. When a wreck happens, that middle lane that Owens talked about is used. Everybody gets over. Emergency vehicles get through. One of the neighbors over behind our bank, they're on East Sunshine, came forward and he's an EMS driver. He's like, what are they doing? I need to be able to get around. These are your average people, your people that use it, that work there, that deal with this day in and day out. They're not your engineers. They're not your groups that decide all this. I can't figure out who's doing what. And 23, city council says, all right, we've got a compromise. Go ahead and do the sidewalks. Let's see what happens without the median. Do your curb cuts. Let's beautify it. Improve the water problems on Sunshine. There's 2 of those too, where it stands. We could get that fixed. But you guys want to create a wall down the middle of Sunshine. Doesn't make sense. EMS, sheriff, both say no, no, no. You guys keep pushing. You keep coming back, coming back, coming back. 94 businesses have said no. And that's in that short little area. We don't want this there. It's going to affect our business. Don't do this to us. The statistics aren't that much higher. Yeah, traffic's up. We're growing. I see it every day. I sit there and watch it. But putting a median and a wall down the middle of our town, don't do that. Don't do it. Leave that 5th lane empty so people can get in and out. I drove over here this morning. I could have taken a left turn to any business I wanted to and come back out, took a left turn to get here. Build a wall, you can't do that. It's not fair to everybody. I really asked for MoDOT to back off of doing the median. Go back to the compromise that was made and let's see where we are in 3 years. You might find that there's technology that's going to come along. We may have drones. We may have all this stuff. We may have paint that keeps, instead of a concrete wall down the middle, Maybe it's paint and the car recognizes it. Why don't we not build a wall down the middle of the street? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your comment. And we'll assume your dad is not going to testify. Okay, that brings, oh, there he is. Tom Fowler Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Director. I'll be very, very brief, but this is a bad idea. Representative Owen said he hadn't heard from anybody that thought this was a good thing, and he's talked to a lot of people, and you're going to hear from a couple of others. I heard from a city councilman, but you should be aware that the only thing passed by the city council was what was mentioned a while ago, and that was a couple of years ago. They said, do the rest of this project and not the medians, and then come back in 3 years and look at it again. So I think that would be a wonderful approach. I appreciate you all being in town and coming by here. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see all of you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your testimony. Next is Mr. Neil Stenger, Murney Associates and Realtors. Mr. Stenger.
My name is Neil Stinger. I'm with Murney Associates Realtors. From 1964 to 1990, I was president of a family-owned auto parts business. Locally, we had 28 retail stores, 3 warehouses, distribution centers, and a remanufacturing company. Since 1990, I've been a licensed commercial real estate broker in the Springfield area. I just tell you that so that you know my business experience, and that it has informed my opinion, which I'm going to share with you today. Not wanting to repeat other comments that have made before, I was interested in the questions the chairman asked during the process. And it occurred to me that our existing process has a certain weakness. OTO, city staff, Greene County, Public Works, and MoDOT all share the same perspective. Their view is emphasizing safety and moving volume of traffic along the roadway. I think that perspective is best suited for interstates and non-urban roads. Our problem with East Sunshine is it's an urban street. And at that point, the factor of economic damage becomes very important to the local community. When I first asked MoDOT about what they considered about the economic impact, their response was, we don't, because we can't measure it. This is reinforced by the follow-up that they do from projects. They measure crashes, they measure deaths. They don't measure the impact, the economic impact of a specific project. The local business owners and operators can give you that feedback if they will listen to the business community involved in each project. In this case, there was a redesign. And the way MoDOT did it, they went out to each individual business and talked to that business owner. And if the MoDOT staff person felt like the input was worth change, then they changed the design. But the effect of having people who prioritize safety and volume of traffic making a decision on which factor is economically important, I think is a fallacy. Locally, we had an opportunity to develop a business community which would have given a business opinion on the design and work with the staff on what business owners felt might be a better solution. But that was not used. Rather, they approached these business individually. I have great respect for the staff in the city and MoDOT. I in no way trying to say that they did not do what in their best effort, but they're operating from a perspective which I think is not as appropriate for urban street development. So my request is simple. I would request that you instruct MoDOT to go back and look at the design and ask for business input as a business community to redesign and take into account the economic impact that may be the result of a new improvement. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate everyone who testified today. All who registered to make testimony have now been given that opportunity, so the public testimony period has come to an end. Typically, at the end of the meeting, we allow commissioners their observations and insights on the meeting, but because we have a press conference that's starting in about 1 minute, unless there's objection, I'd like to forego that this time and instead express the commission's gratitude to the city of Springfield, to all the people who testified today. We greatly appreciate that, and I see that my time has expired. So with that, I'll ask if there is a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.